somebody is telling you what's right. Now you're going to have to decide what you're gonna do the next step you take in life.
You've got me singing in my head when I dream about you dancing. Yeah! What's up, everybody? Look at Lara, all fresh and fun. My fluffy hair is not all sweaty from the protest the other day. Woo! It's fluffy and clean. We gotta pull back our sleeves, enjoy our outfits, enjoy our lives. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Oh, lordy, lordy. Here we are again, back at it. We are on episode 16B. Today we are talking about the cadets at the Int Ranch, the parents of the cadets at the Int Ranch, and people at Gold Base, etc. And who else to do this better with than Mr. Jackson himself, Mr. Gary Jackson. Here we are. Hello, Mr. Gary Jackson.
I wish I had so had me the fashion coolness that you do. Oh shit, Laura, that was just incredible.
Isn't this fun?
I'm so jelly. I gotta get me some freaky deakies. That's just.
I mean, I could send you stuff. We just need to figure out what.
I would so wear stuff like that. You wouldn't believe it. That's just.
You're like, hey, Mr. Jackson on the air. I would love that, Gary. I mean, I will send you if you. I have plenty of fun things, so I will definitely send you.
You know, that's my fun little secret is I'm fun wicked like that. God, that so reminds me of a story, but wow. And I see Mr. John. I don't know how to pronounce your last name, buddy, but
hi, everybody. Yeah, John. Oh my God, let's try to do this together.
Satowski.
Stazowski.
Yeah.
Stazowski.
Yeah, I got my bud. I mean, he sent me all these things. Mr. Gumby.
Yeah.
And Mr. Bill.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cute.
And he sent me a mini Keebler, and he sent me these little apple boxes. See, I got it marked with apple box boy, so I got to figure out how to get them. I got to figure out how to get Dave mounted to his official apple box. But he sent me this little official apple box. Anyways, those are so fun, and I've got my little SPTV and Team Mike buttons in the back.
I need my little buttons. You know,
yeah. Anyways, John's a cool cat.
But did you get the Mr. Bill doll? Because
yeah, did you not hear me go to the?
Oh, I thought it was. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. See?
Yeah.
Oh, you took off your thing. I should probably take it off so I can.
Yeah, I unpackaged them. Man. Yeah, and you don't know what Mr. Bill's all about, do you?
I had to figure it out. I'm resending Jeff the link to jump in here with us. He was, I guess, not able to get it. Jeff, I know I just saw you in the chat. I just re-emailed it to you, so hopefully you get that. Can't wait to have Mr. Jeffrey Hawkins with us as well, right? Right, Gare?
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna mute you while you put your
Was that all
while you bang up your microphone.
Well, I'm just trying to get the frickin' shit out of the way, so
get shit out of the way. Hi, Willie Weed. Hi, Candy's Life. So, Jackson, you know that I did this protest with Eat Predators at
I saw that.
Blue.
I couldn't recognize all. I mean, there was so much movement and quickness with the cameras. I was trying to get focus on faces or hear voices. I recognize, but I certainly recognize the environment.
Yeah.
The old parking structure and the fountain building and the ale building and
it was so weird.
The main building with the steps. The old.
Next time you're going to be there, which will be really great. We're going to fly you from.
You know, sometimes
Portland
I really wish I didn't move from LA just for the simple of being able to play around with my buddies down there with good old Scientology.
I mean, and I was, oh my God, I was up and down like a crazy person, all up on that, just emotionally, like, you know, being angry and then, you know, finally feeling relief and like being able to shout out and fucking say, fuck you, right to the fucking Scientology organizations in front of all those security guards trying to fear us with their bikes. I was just like, nope, I'm the loudest person here. Like, I was just like, I'm never going to say sorry, but I was very much feeling okay with being a crazy, wild, loud person.
Well, unfortunately, they will never understand, I guess, the therapeutic aspect of it, because they just define you as taken away from them. Yeah, they just label you as crazy
SP.
Yeah, and
so I was walking around with a proud. I made my. This is the first time I've ever made my own sign for a protest.
Well, that was pretty cool. I mean, you were
even during that, but even during that, Jackson, I was getting emotional, and even sometimes I was like nervous, and I was like, "Why am I being like?" I was fine. My mind was fine, but my body was like nervous. Like, oh, I'm writing SP. Like, I don't know. There was like weirdness with that.
No, it's. I totally understand, Laura.
It was intense on so many freaking levels.
I know.
And next, if I would have wished to have had somebody there, Jackson, I would have been quite settled with you sitting right next to me.
I would have loved
security chief of Gold Base.
Yeah.
All right, guess what, party people? We got fucking Mr. Jeffrey Hawkins in the house.
Brother in the hood.
Yeah, what's up, Miss Jeffrey?
Hey, Jefferson.
We call him Jeffy.
I call him Jefferson.
Oh, see,
I don't know why.
We all have little names for him, Jeff.
Everybody's got a nickname.
Yeah.
Do I have a nickname, Gary? What's my nickname for you?
No, it's always been Lara. What's the FM? Is that module? Fuck 'em? Is that
fuck 'em? No, it's like FM, like a radio, like a radio. But okay. As I just you know me. We know each other. Gary.
Yeah.
We love music and we love the radio and being out at Gold Base or out in in the Hemet or at the Int Ranch. Yeah. The only thing, if you could even afford a CD, that was weird. Or if you were able to get on the BMG 50 CDs, whatever, or with somebody else's.
What was that, Random House that you sent off to Terre Haute, Indiana?
Yeah.
And I was like, for $1, you get 100 cassettes or something. Boy, did I eat that up. I had... Yeah,
I was too young of a kid to really know how to do it. But later on, I got ballsy and I did the milk bone things. They said, if I put in my address and mail it, then and it said free shit, like free. So I was like, I'm gonna try this, and I put it out on the mail thing. And I thought the aliens just gave me a free box of milk bones for my dog, or for Teddy, who I assumed already was my dog. I couldn't believe that worked. I couldn't believe that I put something by myself and somehow got it in and slipped it in without anybody really knowing. And then I got a box. I felt like, there is some sort of connection to the outside world that I could be somewhat responsible for my own, well, that was weird. But I love the music.
There's somebody in the chat that is randomly and persistently keeps asking me about a story that I had experienced as a guard sitting at a booth that I just want to quickly take care of because she's here or he's here. Mm-hmm. Bach Buddy asked me, I think it was your very first video, you mentioned you had a lot of stories to tell in future videos and mentioned Telly Savalas. What's that Savalas story, please? So Telly Savalas used to be part of a 1970s TV show. Jeff, you would probably remember this.
Jeff doesn't have a mic yet because I haven't sent him one. Just kidding. So I'm just muting him just because he has feedback on behind him. Oh, okay. But he sounds totally fine and we can hear him fine.
Anyways, Telly Savalas is the best as I can remember this TV show, and his trademark was he's a bald guy doing police investigative and private investigative type storylines, and there you go. Thanks for starting to bringing that up there, Laura. Mm-hmm. And his trademark was he always had a lollipop in his mouth, and but he was kind of a suave New York style type. Maybe he was Chicago. I don't know what his demeanor was or where he hailed from, but nonetheless, he pulled up to my security booth one day when I was sitting on watch, and that would have been the old Broadway security booth, Jeff. You would remember. Sitting to the entryway gate to the north side of the property by the Star of California, which would be the entrance across the street from the main entry gate now. The booth itself no longer exists, but there used to be a security booth sitting outside that gate.
Yeah. Kojak was the name of the show.
Kojak was the TV series. That's correct.
There you go. I knew Jeff had something to say. He's so polite, just holding his information.
Yeah. Well, Jeff's cool that way. And anyways,
learn.
Telly Savalas pulled up one day. He had a girl sitting next to him. I'll never forget. It was this deep red, white interior convertible. I want to say it was a Cadillac, and very suave, very Hollywood style at the time. And he pulled up and asked about the movies that we made there. And the local, what do you call it, folklore? The local word on the street was that we made porno movies because nobody knew what we did. So people started rumor mills locally that that's what we did, why it was so secretive. But he pulled up with his girl inquiring about said porno movies, just because he was in the industry. He wasn't trying to make it anything other than this is a place where actors came to and all that. So I told him that unfortunately they weren't there. So it's so cool to meet you. Yeah, that's Telly Savalas. Jeff's bringing up a picture on his eye. There you go. A little more. There you go. A little more there. Closer, Jeff.
There, yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Anyways, so to handle this fine person's, I don't know if it's a Bach Buddy, B-O-C Buddy.
Bach Buddy.
Yeah, male or female. So I'm so sorry for taking so long to answer that question for you. But anyways,
no, you know what? You're letting people come into the chat and get settled in with your humble,
that was one
calm,
of the joys
beautiful
of
voice.
being the only few people that had direct connect to the outside world, and that we always had people pulling over inquiring about the base and what went on there. It was not unheard of to have people who drive all the way out from LA expecting to get in and be in their first porn
At Gold Base?
Yeah, because that was the word out on the street. And this was back in the early 80s.
You knew about this, Jeff?
I didn't know about this till after I was out, but it makes sense because it was a mysterious base. Yeah.
That's so fucking weird.
There's so many reasons as to why it became that, because we had different shore stories over the time. We at one time never even spoke anything about Scientology, that we were basic caretakers for a property invested by a rich man who bought it, and we were the caretakers of it. That was the simple short story that we initially gave. We never wore uniforms. Specifically, we never wore uniforms to give any image away whatsoever other than being caretakers.
That's so creepy and weird. And then I also, in the last stream, I think I found out that actually David Miscavige is the one who put everybody back in uniforms.
That wasn't specifically for the base. That was as a Sea organization all around, because there was a new design, new uniforms were issued. We all got these foot lockers and official Sea Org issued gear, from shoe polishing kits, sewing kits, and uniforms, where we all received. Right.
And sometimes even as our Christmas presents, there would be like a printed Sea Org logo on a leather thing, and it was
bag.
full of it was just full of like a shoe shining kit or something, or nails, or actually I thought it was really cool, the what do you call those, the Leathermans or whatever, the little knife.
I never got a utility knife.
I probably just stole one of the cadets ones, but I was never allowed.
Hey Jefferson, long time no see, buddy, even though we live a stone's throw away from each other. I drive by you more often than you realize, and I'm always looking for you to see if you're out cruising the streets.
Stop by. Yeah.
Good old. I can't in my big green truck. But
lots of love, Lara, from Kimberly Holly. Does Gary know that security guy that you were yelling at, Odo? Do you know Odo?
I want to say that I do, but I remember Roy Rodriguez a lot more.
Mm-hmm. He's the older security
He was the
guard,
primary.
right?
He's always been in security, but he's the one that knows the dirty deeds of the history of the PAC base.
Yeah, I did not see him riding around with the other security guards. It was just eventually Odo and some new security guards that I really.
But he used to be married to a gal at the base named Jody. If Jeff, you remember Jody?
Jody, what was her last name?
She was married, Jody Reed. You know Martin's one-time wife. She worked in
electrical.
Well, no, that was Dana Houston that you're thinking of. This was before Dana. Jody, she worked in RAV.
Don't remember
her. Well, there you go. She was married.
Sorry.
Gary.
I'm sorry. That suddenly came on.
She was married to that security guard, the bigger guy.
That was one of her first husbands. She'd been married 3 times, and that's just a Sea Org thing to do.
Oh yeah.
If you're going to explore anything in the relationship
you can only
world,
be married in the Sea Org. You can't be married to somebody else if you're in the Sea Org. You have to marry somebody else.
Basically, Laura, if you want to test the goods, you got to be married.
Yeah. If you want to have any sort of different sort of excitement that's not being brainwashed and integrated into you every day, that's sort of your own decision making, which it's not. None of it is. What it does make us feel like it, right? We think like, oh, I'm choosing to marry this person when really our options are like a handful. Not even that. It's like these are the best looking guys out of everybody and the most non-cocky and the non-asshole ones. Oh, that brought it down to 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's not very much. Yeah. So I get what you mean about and that happened a lot in the Sea Org, people marrying 3 or 4 times and to so-and-so's best friend who they just, that happens a lot.
Yeah. John Stazowski says, no tryouts. He couldn't try out the goods before he took him for a ride.
No tryouts?
Maybe that's not the right word, but yeah. Take him for a ride. That just sounds cruel, but that's, what wasn't cruel in the Sea Org. So test before you invest. I can't select shit. Yeah.
Test before you invest.
Anyways, Jefferson, great. I just wanted to get back to you, buddy. Thanks for joining in. This is kind of a pretty cool, dynamic little live here.
Yep.
Yeah, for everybody.
It's very cool.
I'm wondering if I should. Oh no, there's 3 of us. I was gonna make. No. I was gonna put it. Nope. That wouldn't make sense, Lara. Yes. Test before you invest. That's who you were joking about, right, Gary? You
yeah.
just read that. Okay, good. Yes, I'm so excited to have you guys here. You both honestly put the humbleness in me that a male human cannot just do for me very easily.
Wow.
But you guys just both being here and the people that you are, it's just so, it like does something to my little girl, like non-fathered properly self that feels humble to be around in your guys' presence and to have this information and to feel still loved by people who loved my mom and dad. Like, we're great friends and it still feels like, like Jeff, this is really sweet. It means a lot more to me, I think, than you probably know, but like, it's so sweet that because I knew my mom and you were very close and that you were known as a person just in general at the Gold Base that wasn't an asshole. And same with you, Gary. You both of you have been through some crazy ass abusive mentally, physically shit and it's so insane. To me, what's insane is that you guys came out the way you are, humble, helping others, wanting to do get out the truth, answer people's question, being there, being the elder that wasn't, the people we didn't have as children, and so I really, really appreciate it. And I appreciate both of you taking your time to answer what could be silly questions or whatever, that to some might be silly.
Any questions are fine.
Yeah. And if it's silly or you don't know, then we just say we don't know and we move on. But my main.
That's your book.
Oh, this is getting shipped out to me.
Look at that.
Yes.
And I sent Jeffy his the Lara FM CD.
Oh, wow.
Hey. Oh,
and
great,
on the back, by the way, when I was mentally going to be out of Scientology, I was writing this music in help. Anyways, on the back it says dedicated to victims of mind control. And now I wish I would have put survivor instead of victims, because we really aren't victims. We're like, you know what I mean? And also, I know that Scientology puts that on us. Don't be a victim. So fine, maybe we are victims, but then we're very damn proud victims. You know what I mean?
I think victim, for me, in my perspective, is more of a cognitive awareness.
Yeah,
and that
totally.
I was a victim. It's more of a past tense stated.
I like that.
And then we are truly strong survivors now through actually doing something about the victimization we fell victim to.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to put it. Which I really love, and I respect that. And I just wanted to put that out there before we just start
thanks, Laura,
names and getting out in there and stuff.
Yeah, I'm and you threw in the word elder in there, and you get on in your life, and you.
I'm sorry, Jackson.
No, there's nothing degrading about it. It's a reality, because believe me, I have to think twice about the curbs I jump on and off of now, where once I didn't think twice about them. But
you gotta make sure you have those stable rollerblades on.
Yeah. I can still rollerblade with the best. Believe me.
Yeah. I know.
But I'm still 25, 30 in my head, and I feel I will always be.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%. And there's times I feel like, I'm not kidding, I do feel like like an old lady. And sometimes my body is just drained because my hands are just so tired. They've been working nonstop for the last 37 years.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it feels like. So I do feel at times not like an old lady. Yeah. I love to be able to say that. Old lady. I am going to be an old lady, and I can't wait, and it's going to be so great. Like, so I just say, I mean it in the sense that I have had so much experience already through so much good and horrible shit, especially through Scientology, that has toughened me up and made me the person I am. And it's great to have people, humble, beautiful male figures in my life that aren't trying to honestly have sex with me or try, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, no, this is so sweet for my heart to feel, especially after like shouting and being very aggressive, I guess, during this protest. I let out so much anger and emotions. And then I was like, really like, hey, Odo, look, people love you. You know, like, it wasn't just about Odo. I know I'm sure the live stream just heard me like,
well, that's what the forefront guards get, is they're the only ones that usually stick out there. So they're going to get a name and be referenced all the time. But I wanted to jump into this is not to write on the coattails of a recent exposure story, the Mike Brown, Rosemary Brown storyline, but all three of us, ironically, I'm sitting here realizing, have our own connections in our own ways at the same time to Mike and Rosemary. And mine as a general security guard running around the base, knowing all the backstories behind everything Mike had spoke of, about Rosemary's interactions and dealings for Ronnie, her boss at the time, Ron Miscavige Jr., who was a materials executive int, who was also directing Jeff at the time. Jeff
he was marketing exec.
Yeah, he was the marketing exec, and ironically was over Jeff and interacting with Jeff. So I would see it. My position as security is I got to see I would be out at the Happy Valley that same day, interacting with Laura, come back to the base, interacting with Jeff.
You mean interacting with little Megan?
Well, little Megan.
Little Megan Anderson.
See, it's a good sign that I don't refer to you as Megan anymore, because that's what I used to. And then 10 minutes later, I'd be in CMU, and I'd go up to Del Sol and see Ronnie, or find Ronnie down in CMU. Jeff, I don't know if you remember when you guys had the TV satellite in marketing up there, and I used to go up there when Bill Dindu was
the CO.
He was the CO of CMU, Central Marketing Unit, and I would be up there checking the weather reports, because that was shortly after the base flood, where we were able to watch TV, and that was my justified reason for watching TV, because marketing had access to the outside world.
Right, and Bill used to be up there during Renos watching football games.
Yeah, I wonder, Ohio State maybe? The good old Buckeyes. But it just, Laura, somebody was pointing out that it's 420 somewhere, and it's certainly 420 at Laura's crib. But anyways,
yeah, it's
how we
always
all
420. Sorry, Gary, I needed to respond to that. It's always 420 in Lara's crib. Okay, that's all.
But it's just, I sit here and I look at us three, and it's entertaining to realize how we all tied in on a daily basis, and what a small world it was, simply through Rosemary's story or Mike Brown's story.
Let's talk about that. He's one of the, let's quickly go over that. So Mike Brown used to be, sadly, a cadet and everything just as well at the Ant Ranch. He was a cadet at the Ant Ranch. I'm going to unmute you, Jeff. Sorry. There we go. He was a cadet at the Ant Ranch. His mother, Rosemary Brown, was at Gold Base forever, literally. And as we know, she's just finally out and getting, now she has her family and everything, but everything that's happened to her is just insane. But the thing that is insane is, yes, Mike Brown and Rosemary are, they're fighting, and they were, Mike Brown's super smart about how he got to help his mom.
He articulated that handling so well for his mother.
Very
Like,
well. I was impressed, honestly. So let me just really get at this. Mike Brown, though, used to be somebody who beat the crap out of the children when he was then, not beat the crap, I'm not even going to say that. I'm saying, he was ordered by L. Ron Hubbard policy. I would like to actually talk to him and get his view on things, but which I will talk. I just haven't been ready to even speak to him or talk to people, that I'm not ready to just forgive. But even just listening to him and the story and how he helped Rosemary get out of Gold Base, and how Scientology just plopped $160,000 right into her account, blah, blah, blah. It's so crazy. But to hear that gave me a lot more empathy for the whole situation.
Right.
Mike Brown used to, was ordered himself how to be the person that he was. So it was hard for a little, and it still is, to think about it. But, this is why we're talking about this. This is why we're talking about the children and the parents at Gold Base, because there's 100% a connection the whole way through. There's nobody ever that was at the Ant Ranch base or anything that didn't have some connection to the Gold Base at some formal point. So we all have different perspectives of Mike Brown. We all have different perspectives of Rosemary. But I mean, I do want to say Rosemary was always, I swear, the sweetest. She used to send me packages because she knew that I didn't get enough money or enough whatever, or she knew my mother very well and wanted me to feel good. She used to send me random packages, and I was like, what? Rosemary sent me a package? I was like, what is she doing? She's so sweet.
I knew Rosemary very well because Ronnie was my boss, and Rosemary was his communicator. And I tell you, you have never met a sweeter woman.
Genuinely sweet, yeah.
Yeah.
She put some sprinkles and cherries on it, type sweet,
Yeah. Yeah, always looking out for other people.
Yeah.
I wonder, what made... I mean, I don't wonder. It's so shocking, honestly, to me, that they would do that to Rosemary. And they are doing this to other... You know what? I can't wait for my PI to start investigating, my mom's... anything under my mom's name and her social security and things like that. I want to know where her, where did she spend all of the money?
How old is she now, Laura?
73 now or something.
Oh my gosh. That's strange to think.
And Gary, she has major arthritis. She was a ballet dancer her whole life before the Sea Org, so she has back problems because she didn't heal her back properly when she just stopped doing ballet. So that messed up her back. I found out that she had some breast cancer or something. I don't know when this was, and got it. I'm just like, what? All this is happening without me being told? I'm your daughter. I don't care if you hate me. Which she doesn't. I know she doesn't.
Yeah.
No.
I know she doesn't either.
Right.
Jeff will tell me.
Yeah. No, she loved you and talked about you very often,
Was there ever a moment wow. Hold on.
A little heavy on the tokage there. Yeah. Puff.
I thought I was taking my token to be, spiritual and loving, and then I was like, oh, that hit hard.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, were there ever specific memories or things that you remember, where my mom was either very upset or like, oh, I really want to see my daughter and I can't, or my daughter's in ethics trouble again, or anything? Was there any not so nice things she said when she was ever like trying to have just this sweet, genuine, deep conversation or anything? Did she ever want to leave? Did she ever want to leave? Like, I don't know. Did you know what I mean? Yeah.
No.
See, she was.
I mean, if she did, she never talked to me about it.
And up until I left, I would have been aware of it if she wanted to. But no, she was just a genuine, steady, like we all were, a good worker for the cause.
Yeah.
Our hearts were in our jobs.
Yeah. I always tell people that nobody ever thought that I would leave.
Yeah. Nor me.
I did.
Yeah, but I did.
So, just because nobody ever heard your mom say she wanted to leave doesn't mean she doesn't want to leave,
I will say this, Laura, that the statistics when I was the security chief were really high, that at least occupied one brain cell of everybody at some given time.
Right.
It just was a matter of how it eventually was discovered, if it was discovered. But there was at least more than one moment that something would happen that everybody go, I wish I was not here.
Yeah.
That is a true fact.
Yeah. Everyone I know at the int base kind of daydreamed about escaping.
Yeah, but completely squashed by the physical and mental barriers that stood in your way.
Yeah, and you couldn't talk to anybody.
Yeah, and you could not talk to anybody about it. So there was that. On these other recent lives that like Aaron was speaking of, or people talking about Miscavige, who would take over and all this, and whether it will be Shelley. Part of it is the internal roadblocks that are automatically put into place through the indoctrination process of the years being there, that if Shelley were to stage a coup, per se, have everybody show up and muster up down in Mask Your Canyon Inn and do a base briefing, go, listen, here's the lowdown on Dave. I would say 80% to 90% of people would believe what she's saying, but would be fearful of acting. It's like, okay, we're going to jump ship, or we're going to take this into our own hands. And when Dave comes back to the property, I mean, that's all a daydream. We all would love to have happened, but it would require such coordinated effort in advance without Dave ever knowing about it.
There's no way to actually do it unless you, in your mind, are ready to go. And
it's only because of the safeguards Dave himself have put it at play for that to never happen.
Right.
That he's
and also to, for that to never freaking happen. Because the point is, you get your own ethics in. You're putting your own ethics in when you're having your own thoughts.
Thoughts, yes.
You start, as like a third person, you start going, whoa, I'm having these bad thoughts. I need to stop.
Well,
and it's very serious internal. Like, I really need I'm getting, like the moment you stop putting your ethics in is when you start to go, okay, I think I'm going to blow. I think I'm going to leave. And I'm not going to talk to anybody about it.
Yeah. And that's back to your mom, as Jeff was explaining, this just the purity of her efforts. She was genuinely there, genuinely doing her job and interacting genuinely as a base staff member. So, I look back and I get pictures of your mom, and just, she had an physical elegance about her, which I didn't know that she was a ballerina. So that makes sense as to why I thought that. As to why she had this gracefulness about her. Mm-hmm. Just the way she walked.
You saying that reminds me of Black Swan, like where they just have, my mom has to, and even as a ballet dancer, you have to look, if you're in pain, and ballet is so hard, right? If you're in pain, that doesn't matter. You have to look elegant. You have to make something that looks really
work through the pain
hard. Like, this person looks so light, and you look like a feather, and you have to look like it too. So it just like what I don't know. That just made me think about that, like the parallels of my mom being in a Sea Organ, working for David Miscavige under, doing these videos and getting these things under his orders and feeling like, ooh, I can be trusted by him so deeply. I feel like I'm safe almost. I'm safe as long as he knows that he can trust me.
Right.
And it's the same thing. Like, I'm going to hide my emotions. I'm going to work so fucking hard and still be polite to others as I do it. And put on a mask and put on this elegant show, right? Would you say that? Yeah. Wow.
And then also, I want to express what I remember of your father too, because I met him both.
That's so cute, Gary. One of the things I write lists, and then you guys are so amazing. I just forget. I'm like, oh, I have questions for Gary, and one of them was because I already asked Jeff this on my last stream and Amy, and I wanted the world and them, if they eventually watch this, to know, what does Gary think? What was your opinion of my mother, which you've just said, and then now my dad?
Well, I first remember meeting your dad. If what I'm remembering is correct, was, and Jeff would probably remember this, is he was down in Los Angeles at the Flag Org Liaison Office, the FOLO, where they wore their lanyards around their neck, their green lanyards. Jeff, that's correct, right? Back in the day?
Yeah.
Instead of the shirts, they didn't have epaulets on their shirts, so they wore their lanyard around their neck.
Around the neck, yeah.
Right. And then the end of it would loop back up and dip into their pocket. But I believed he was in Folo. That's where I remember seeing him. I was a young punk. This is in 79, 80. That's when I remember seeing him. And then he made it up to the base. He was an executive.
Wait. So just for my own little brain, 79?
1979. I don't think you were born yet, were you?
No, I wasn't. But I have a question. This is so random. Did he have a mustache still?
Yeah, I remember him. He didn't have
or
a
did
big.
He had it his whole, like, at his wedding when I was born. In the wedding.
Yeah,
photos,
it was a 70s thing.
I mean, in whatever photos.
It was a 70s thing, and then he eventually didn't have it.
I know this is dumb, but did he shave it off at Gold Base or before?
I couldn't couldn't answer that for you.
Dad, I have many questions for you. Okay, so yeah. Continue.
And Laura, you should know that I asked my dad currently. I have, like, here I am, that I'm like, where did we go when I was a little punk, and what river was that we used to, yeah,
and
believe me.
Is he filling up the holes?
And what did you do in high school? What was your prom like? What was your first job?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. No, stuff that you discover way on earlier. Here I am in my 50s.
Is this like your fishing things or what?
No, well, I asked him if he used to go fishing. What did he do? Because where are you when you're asking him this?
Either
sitting here at home and I just pick up the phone and call him, or mostly when I'm visiting him in Vegas.
Wow.
Just having these, trying to know
he
my
likes
dad.
it. I'm sure he does.
Oh, well, he loves
so
it.
calm.
He understands.
Yeah.
He understands.
I bet you he's like, oh, I have all these answers. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
wow,
even so much, it's
fulfilling.
like, did you ever date the prom queen or anything like that? I mean, I asked him those kind of stories.
I don't know if my mom went to prom. You know what I found out? She has like a freaking PhD in art. And
oh my God.
Yeah, did you know that, Jeff?
No.
Yeah, she full on. Yeah, and she was a teacher. Like she did teach ballet and everything. And she was one of the head dancers in her time. Being a head ballet dancer is insane. That's a lot of work.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
I gotta
probably
later wasn't good to have thought it was so fun to bring her to the Black Swan movie. Nope.
I mean, before she ended up being the librarian, video librarian, she was an exec strata. If I remember correctly.
I didn't know that. I always thought my mom and dad were always at lower org positions or whatever, and they were just good at their post. And then Jeff commented that he was an exec strata, and I was like, what?
Yeah, no, he definitely.
I remember that now. That's so weird.
I mean, her mom was definitely something other than in Golden Era. I think she was an executive strata. I'm not sure as what, maybe an administrative assistant or.
Do you know, Jeff?
No, I mean, your mom and dad worked for me pretty much throughout the 80s with the Dianetics
campaign. You must have seen me a few times as a baby, right?
I think so, because I
Like,
remember
because she would bring me into the office. She told me, I did ask her, I said, oh, who took care of me? And she said, well, kind of glimpsed it over. Oh, well, you were with me when I'd bring you to work and you would just sit in your, like, and I was like, really? You would really? And then I'm finding out of like really early babies, even like not even
yeah,
a year.
I remember kids coming into the office. Devana used
Devonna
to come.
Hawkins, right?
Yeah, she used to come into the office when Joanne would bring her in, and so I
My
remember
God,
her.
Joanne, her mom. Yep.
You know,
And
speaking of
and
that,
Devonna
Jeff,
Hawkins was at the Ant Ranch as well.
the early CMU days when you guys first moved up to the base, there was a darker haired kind of a, I want to say for lack of other description, heavy set or robust girl that her brother was in a music band. Um, Warrant, I think her brother was in Warrant, the band Warrant. Does that ring any bells?
Doesn't ring a bell. No, you don't
Well,
recall her
it
name.
it
That's
may it may ring a bell for somebody later, Gary.
yeah, I know.
You
That's
saying that, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm gonna send him a
yeah.
message."
She was in marketing. She was a dark haired gal with a big smile. I mean, I just yeah. There isn't too much I could tell you about her other than she used to constantly hit on me. That's one thing I just remember. But
as she should,
no,
Okay,
but
so
I just keep spitter spattering, remembering people back in marketing and
that's what
and all
happens.
that.
Nope, that's
Yeah.
exactly what happens, which is great. But I just wanted to say, so your view of my dad.
He was more a genuine administrative person. I always observed him in an administrative capacity. Never was he ever assigned in and
Did
out
you
like
ever
into
see
the
him?
galley or to the
Did
states
you
or
ever
anything.
seen him mad?
No,
Okay.
no, no, no,
Did you ever see him like hitting somebody or being
no,
aggressive or
no,
rude?
no,
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 never.
never.
Right.
Phil
He
would
was of
never do
not that
that.
type of demeanor. He was Mr. Problem Solver type
Okay.
demeanor.
Yeah,
Um,
I could always rely on him.
yeah, a
If
lot of
I
people
asked him
did.
to do something, he would do it, and I knew that he would do it, and he would
Yeah.
do it competently.
Wow,
But
that's good.
he was also a bit of a scamp.
What does that mean?
Well, I was just gonna say, how do I say this kind of stuff? Go ahead, Jeff.
No, tell me, guys. I don't want to hear joyful things about my dad if it's not the fucking. I want to know it all.
He had a sense of humor.
Oh, is
And
that what that means? I thought it was gonna be something bad. Like,
I
okay,
can
but
look
what
up
else?
the definition here. But
Scamp.
we used to call him. Sometimes we would call him Eddie Haskell, and that's a cultural reference for people my age. There was a television show called Leave It to Beaver. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
I haven't.
Leave It to
But
Beaver.
I
was-
will look it up now. I mean, not now, but I will be. I'll be looking up all these things. Even
Yeah,
Jackson sent some names that I gotta go look
it
up.
was about the Cleaver family, and Ward and June were the parents, and then Beaver Cleaver was the main character, and he was just this little kid, and he had a brother Wally, and then Wally's best friend was Eddie Haskell, and Eddie Haskell was a scamp. He was a troublemaker. He was always getting Wally and Beaver into trouble over one thing or another thing.
Okay.
And he was very polite, overly polite to grown-ups. He would say, "That's a lovely dress you have on, Mrs. Cleaver." He was always kind of, playing
Okay.
up to the adults.
Yeah.
So your dad kind of looked like that character, and he could be a bit of a scamp. He could be a bit of a, he had a sense of humor.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, it feels like my dad too.
Somebody in the chats here, by the way, Laura was saying that they sent you an email, Lady BB. She's been a little persistent on grabbing your attention to let you know that she sent it. So I just thought I'd let you know.
Okay. I'm looking. I'm trying to see.
And our brother Mitch, Mitch with the
here
B.
we are. Yeah, Lady BB. Okay, I'll check it out, Lady BB. I think I know what it is, but yes, thank you.
Mitch is in the house.
Right there, Beam.
Yeah.
Hi, Mitch. How's it going, you little secluse?
He's
You
such
need to
a
get
cool,
your ass up out and go have a beer with me and chill the fuck out, bro.
he's such a cool cat.
He is, but he needs to enjoy his life right now and get out there, bro.
He's doing what we all kind of do, Laura. Is
Well, he needs to come out with me so I can loosen that up a little bit.
sure.
Yeah. Okay, Mitch. Yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll do a live stream with him first.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then that'll.
Yeah, he just said deal. So he is one cool cat.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah,
So yeah.
that I never and again, to me, your father and mother were two base staff members that were my staff that I served. That was my view as a security chief, that I served everybody that was there. It was my job to afford them a distraction-free, quiet from the outside world environment. And my visual outlook was that never once would any imp-based staff member concern themselves with the outside world, so much so that every now and then they would probably find themselves realizing how safe they felt inside before the heaviness set it in about how the perimeter fence and security system was turned against us. But I could pretty much guarantee you that at one time, people just seamlessly came and went to that base, never realizing the comfort and security that they had, because it was always that type of environment. And that was my job. I used to have these very vivid conversations with Shelly about that very thing, that she asked me, what purpose did I fulfill there as a security chief? It's like, that was to afford every base staff member the comfort and sense of security of no distractions from the outside world. That doesn't.
I bet
That
she
didn't
was
mean.
like, "Wow, let's write a hat write up for that. That sounds great."
It didn't mean any interaction with the outside world. It was just simply no distractions from the outside world. So
Okay, that
basically the comfort level that you could run around naked and not be judged, type of comfort. If that's a concept that would help people understand.
Hi, Ray.
Ray's
Question.
asking.
Yeah, go ahead, Gary.
There weren't guards that were armed full
The
time.
question, you have to read it so everybody who's blind.
So Ray's asking, were any guards armed / or did military drills at Gold Base? Thanks. Military drills, yes.
A lot.
To redefined to sea organizational standards, but armed guards, there was only 2 guards that had ever at any given time carried a sidearm on their security belt, and that was Uwe Stukenbrock and Danny Dunnigan.
Wow.
And the
Uwe
only reason
Stukenbrock.
that they did is because, like me, I partook and became a firefighter with Riverside County Fire / California Department of Forestry as a volunteer at Shelley's direction, my passion, and Shelley's direction and authorization. She gave me carte blanche to partake in the local offered volunteer firefighter program. Well, we decided to extend that to the law enforcement side, where law enforcement, the Hemet Police at the time, they had a volunteer program where they can call upon such volunteers to come out and help secure crime scenes or major traffic accident scenes, to reroute traffic or to preserve evidence at the scene of a crime. And Uwe and Danny, I would send off to go get trained and involve themselves with that on behalf of Golden Air to increase the public area control, or public relations. And they went through the full training that any volunteer would do that, and included of that was obtaining their license to carry. And that was a big mistake, particularly with Danny Dunnigan, which is where
Why? What happened?
he grew the name Done It Again, because he almost shot his foot off.
Wait. Oh my God, done it again. Oh my God. Jeff, did you know Uwe Stukenbrock?
I did, yeah.
Oh yeah, Jeff definitely.
Can I
knows.
ask what were your interactions with him, or like how do you know him?
I didn't know him really well, but I knew who he was.
What did you feel? I mean, did you know what was his post position? Do you know?
I don't recall. Was he in
Okay.
security?
Well, the last
Okay,
you would have
wait.
known him to have been Uwe. Jeff was in security, but
So, but
Yeah.
at
Over
the
his
Int
history.
Ranch as a kid, Uwe Stukenbrock, to us or to me or to a lot of cadets didn't know him necessarily.
Yeah.
The reason I did is because, guys, I was a rebellious apparent child, I guess, running away and blowing all the time and trying to, go play with the horses and have a good time. And he would be the one. He to me was RTC security. Like he was the security chief RTC. And so to me, he looked very nice and was very sweet and da-da-da. And then he really was calling big, really psycho shots. Like really deeply, I can't say evil because it's hard for me to call anybody stuck in the Sea Org and in Scientology evil.
Right.
They're not being anybody, they're being nothing of themselves. So yeah, but he seemed very nice. Oh, I'm like this nice, good looking sort of whatever. But then when he was angry or something, it was like really intense. But I don't know if you ever saw that. Did you? You didn't know or get to see him that well, or what?
I didn't really know him that well, and I never really interacted with him. He always seemed to me to be, a pretty upright guy,
Okay.
who did his job, and that
Which
sort
he
of
was.
thing.
I
Yeah.
felt like he was an upper guy. I mean, like I've never heard of him actually physically doing anything like that, abusive. But to me, in his demeanor, or maybe he just had ethics presence or whatever it was. And maybe it was just because a lot of the security guards were always running after me, like,
Yeah.
whoever.
Campbell.
And then when they couldn't figure it out or get me or find us, then it was like, Mr. Stukenbrock is on the Int Ranch base now. This is a flop.
Serious. Yeah.
Like security's in lower conditions.
Really quickly, somebody had asked here, what did Uwe die of? And that was multiple sclerosis that we had no idea
Oh, I didn't
up until
know he
97.
died.
Yeah.
When I
He was
left.
on the RPF. I think he died
Nobody-
on the RPF.
Well, Uwe suffered
What RPF?
Pack.
pack.
Okay.
Anyways, that's a whole series of disgusting
Wow.
handlings by Dave himself, because
How did he die? Sorry.
he died
A
in the
mess.
care a mess. Basically, like Rosemary, if those listening
Literally, I'm like something that could have been handled. It should have never been
managed
happening.
to extend his
Right,
life. Yeah, I know a
right.
lot of people that are
And he
currently
seemed
living
very
with
healthy
MS.
and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, but
that's so crazy.
it was just allowed to overtake his well-being, and he succumbed to it.
Yeah. I remember him when I was in Pack. I would see him on the RPF in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
He would be going through the halls with his wheelchair.
running or performing his yeah.
That's insane.
So Ray, again, I wanted to finish answering your earlier question about the military drills. I produced a series of drills that grew from the demand of internally what was identified as a major flap, a major situation requiring immediate attention and need for solution from the major flood that happened in the 1990s. I was burdened with the responsibility to create drills or these set of routines in which things, procedures and policies that would get established and laid out in this repetitively worked over by the crew until they perfected it and learned how to do it quickly and efficiently in a short period of time. And that is like a flap would be suddenly a busted water pipe in your central files area. What do you do in the event of that? Well, a drill would kick in and certain people would have certain responsibilities or certain actions would need to be done to mitigate that incident as quickly as possible. So from that flood, I had to generate base-wide drills that involved the entire base staff for any event of fire, any event of flood, any event of security, or any event of an earthquake.
Yeah.
4 different major drills to give everybody an assigned responsibility during such event until it would transition from an emergency response into a managed response to carry out to the end. And yes,
We drilled on those constantly. I think every week.
every Saturday I had to drill all the base staff, and people talk about what was the head count of the imp base, and I had to up until I left as the security chief, I had to know how many base staff there were at any given time, because they're on a twofold basis, and that I had to plan to how to keep all the imp base staff secure. So I had to know how many there were, and when the imp base berthing was being built, there's county building standards for occupancy, and we were limited to how many people we could have on that base. So we only built enough berthing bases to eventually house 12 or 1,300, imp base employees, for lack of better terms, and nothing beyond that, where we only had 1,300 places to either feed them, rest them, or park them. Because if anybody knows anything about building codes, you have to have an appropriate amount of parking spaces for said building for people to park.
As if anybody had a car.
As if anybody had a car, but we also had to comply to building codes. But so I clearly knew how many staff, and when I was last there, it was in the low 900s. It never breached 1,000. I can, and it may have breached 1,000 in terms of visitors, such as all the people that were there on the command teams, but that was temporary. But in terms of permanent staff, there was who were assigned daily, woke up and went to bed. Sea Org duties at the base, there was no more than low 900s. I want to say 936 was the last number that rings in my head.
When I left, it was under 300.
Yeah, and then so everything dropped off shortly after I left, and that's not because I left. It just was a ironic.
And let's
time.
remind people when you left, Gary, and when you left, Jeff. Gary,
I left. Go ahead, Jeff.
I left in 2005.
Okay.
And I left in the imp base in 1997, the summer of 1997. I was taken off as a security chief in the summer of 96. So
people know, yeah. And so people watching will know, oh, he was the security chief when my mom, I'm going to ask, just so they can reach out and ask questions if they
Yeah, and I considered every imp base staff member my bud, my brother, my sister.
That's why
there was nobody there that
You were on that job. Literally, you were there. This is so fucked up to say, but you were RTC's basically
I was
good
RTC's
person
right
that
hand.
can get into anybody's heart. That's what's like Serge Del Mar. He was able to really, as a young, completely enforced interrogating auditor, auditing some people on the most craziest shit, asking the craziest. He would, in his heart, be like, it's okay. This is the way to be free. Like, just tell me, I'll be your buddy. I'll make it easy for you to say. What did you do? Did you murder somebody?
Yeah.
Did you, and so they say these crazy things so that you feel okay about saying whatever it was, whatever. I don't know why I got
Well, I kind of look at it in a weird perspective that I always had to throw sprinkles on a turd to make the turd look better.
Right.
Even though I was forced to run my fingers through the said turd and be delivered turds and told that they were turds, but only to find they're actually good people and they just truly need help. And even though I was watching them and feeding them every day and had to make sure they did hard labor, I also saw to it that they were given water and they weren't out in the, dead. Anyways, there was just a series of crap.
But also, not only that you were good at the position, Gary, and you were able to really help and heal a child or like a fucking old lady or somebody who's about to blow the base because they're sick. You were able to talk to anybody, but also, sorry, Jeff, I'm just gonna, but also, so you had this like really nice soft side, but the other side is also that because people were open with you, you were able to detect and notice when somebody wasn't doing well or this seems a little suspicious, and that's where you were being used with your heart by RTC and David Miscavige. So at one point, just before we move on to the next people and names and Rosemary, I want to talk more about Rosemary, Mike Brown, and move on from there. But
well, I also Dave guy, the last lingering question he asked about the sniper's nest.
Oh,
They're
yeah. I was like, how well will Gary remember? Here, that was the arm drill.
He had a following
Yeah,
after
yeah.
that.
So explain that. The sniper's nest.
There never once,
Ray was asking about
during
the
my
sniper's nest.
entire, from 1982 until 1997, was there ever a sniper rifle up at the Eagle booth. Never, ever. That idea that there was a sniper, or it was used as a sniper's nest up on the hill, or what I located and identified as the Eagle booth, that came about through the mishap of one of my guards, and Jeff would remember this, where an early morning, through a series of coordinated natural events, and what I mean by natural events is the weather patterns that were at play at the time, and the human need to relieve oneself at the end of said all-night watch up on the hill. One of my guards, Kevin Poston, and every guard had done this. They went up above the booth in a clearing, did their duty, and he chose to burn off his toilet paper. Well, unfortunately, there was a slight wind and the weather and temperature conditions were correct that one early morning. It was a Sunday morning, and it caught in the brush, and up the hillside the fire went, and it turned into a major incident. There was a major wildland response with aircraft and bulldozers and fire engines and battalion chiefs, and suddenly a lot of outside attention. And I'll never forget meeting behind the booth initially with Dave and Mark Yeager and Mark Ingber and Ray Midoff. Nobody else was on the base because everybody was out at berthing that Sunday morning, and he was going, "Jackson, what the fuck are we going to do here?" And I said, "Well, this is what's going to happen whether we do whatever we do. This is what's going to happen." And I told him, the lake on the property was going to be utilized as a dipping point for the helicopters, and we're going to have hand crews here, convicts, and we're going to have firefighters crawling this place until that fire's out. So we might as well organize to accept them and help them rather than resist them. And go get it done, Jackson. And in the meantime, Kevin Poston, because I was already a firefighter, so unfortunately I couldn't fight the fire because I needed to be the security chief. So I couldn't go do what I truly loved, was put the wet stuff on the red stuff up at the hillside. But also the source of what happened, I found myself up at the Eagle booth on the telephone in a conference call with Dave and Mark Yeager and Ken Hoden in a conference room. I don't know where they were, but I had to make a phone call, and they said, "What are we going to fucking do to handle the PR of this? What's the short story we're going to give them?"
Yeah.
And I had to handle the others on the other end of the phone to tell them, we need to tell them the truth. There's no reason to hide it. We'll just tell them what happened. It was a mishap. One of my guards was taking a shit on the hill, and it caught fire, and it got out of control. And he's going to be, as any employee would be taken care of. He'd be addressed with it. And because it was also known that a fire investigator was going to come up, and the concern was the discovery of the illegal power that we had run up there.
To have a camera, right?
There was no camera at the time. It was just guards' eyes and a pair of binoculars.
But what was the power for?
The power was to give me and my guards heat.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. There was some fucked up reason that this is why we have outside authority. That's why we have the law.
Well, for years, Laura, I sat up in that hill freezing my fucking ass off because there was no power.
That's horrible.
So it was
wonderful. Did you know about this, Jeff? Oh, sorry, Jeffy. Did you know about this?
Yeah, I knew there was a guard, station up on the hill. I mean, everybody knew that pretty much.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so just like a prison.
No joke.
Everybody knows up, there's the guard, there's the,
and I told him, I said, there's going to be an official fire cop coming up here and fire investigator to investigate the source of this fire. And what they're going to find is the little spot in which it started. And I'm going to tell them the truth. I just distinctly remember I had to fight to be able to tell the truth. Because telling the truth would be the logical thing to do.
Right. Yeah. And David Miscavige, let's just call it what it is. David Miscavige is the one being like, no. He's basically the one saying yes or no to what Gary's saying.
Clearly, you don't unhear these things. You don't unremember them.
Yeah.
Because in that environment, it's a very sensitive time of your life. You can say or do the wrong or right thing in a moment's notice and forever. And I think that was always part of my saving grace, was I just was simply boldly honest. and not like, well, this is what we should do. It was just, you asked me a question, here's my response.
But also, like, here you asked me a question. Here's my response.
Right.
David Miscavige is very narcissistic and egotistical in a way where you have to acknowledge him. Just like I was saying about Jeff, when Jeff was just trying to say, like, "Are you sure, sir? Like, we did a lot of work on these, promo ads and whatever it was, or we know, there was a lot of money spent, and these people really." And the same thing for you, like, you have to kind of say it like, "Hey, you asked me a question. I'm just gonna say the truth." And for Dave Miscavige, he was saying, "No, you got to make up some story. You got to say," and you're going, "No, actually, they're
No.
fucking real fire department
Yeah,
and
that's right.
investigators who are going to find out exactly how this happened."
That's right.
It would be more out PR for us to lie.
That's right.
So he was like, "Oh, that's a good thing."
That's
But,
right. And I would always get that. And also, I was already pretty well established on the base and locally as connected in the fire world. So I also had to maintain what I knew to be the professional thing to do. So, anyways, from that story, Kevin Poston, who was the guard that started the said fire, he was interrogated.
We should just call it shit fire.
Yeah, shit fire. He was interrogated. And in that, of course, there was, did you have any intent to burn the property down or to attack or kill Dave Miscavige? Such questions. I never saw the list of questions, but he was being interrogated if there was any ill intentions towards the base, the expansion of Scientology, any underlying evil intentions or desires or urges to bring that property or the occupants down in any form or way. And of course, Dave Miscavige would have been zeroed in on. And
sorry, that's just for you. I just wanted to show you.
Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you, Ms. 907 Mayhem like me.
My dad was a firefighter too. Big place in my heart for you, Jackson. That's what she said.
So yeah, I got 20 hardcore sweet years in as a volunteer, just as a side note. But so in that interrogation, Kevin Poston, he related how he used to follow Dave Miscavige around through the binoculars because I would instruct them whenever COB was on the property, just watch him and see what he needs, see if we can get a heads up if he needs a gate opening. So, did you have any ill intentions or activities or whatever the question was towards Dave Miscavige? That came up. They used to follow him around in his binoculars. Dave saw it in a knowledge report write-up after his interrogation, and he translated it and said, "I told you these guys would follow me around in their scopes and try to kill me." And thus it was translated into the fact that there was belief that we used a sniper up there, sniper rifle, which we had, but it was not located up there, never ever while I was there. And it was just translated.
Jackson, I do remember. So just a side note, this is so fucked up. But when this person, Kevin Poston, got sent to the Int Ranch or RPF or whatever, I got a knowledge report by him written on me for flirting. I'm an 8-year-old child, okay? He wrote a report on me. I was 2D flowing him because I was giving him, probably like my mom did for Jeff. I was giving him vegetables from the farm, and I was secretly giving it to him. But every time he was there, I just knew he knew my mom. So he was just, I don't know. Anyways, so that's a weird thing as a child, getting a report and getting into so much trouble. So much trouble.
Yeah, well, that's how innocent stuff like that took a stupid turn and would end up ruining people's lives. And to this day, it created a mark for you, right? So,
I don't mean him bad or harm, but I'm just like, the
if that
amount
didn't happen,
of trouble
at least
I got into, and then the way I felt, like, what? I wasn't flirting, like I wasn't 2D flowing him, like what? I felt, but then, there's no line about adults and children, and there's no line about, so it very much, anyways, it disturbs me. Kevin Poston, that post, like, true child love was just being like, here's free corn, run back, oh, here's free turnips, here's some tomatoes. Yeah. And then I was doing that for a little bit for a lot of the RPFers, but for some reason, maybe I have no idea. Anyways, let me tell you, that's how I feel about that. That situation is uncomfortable. That name is uncomfortable, but I do genuinely know he wasn't a bad guy.
Right.
I hope. I don't know.
Yeah. And we all hope. And, we all didn't truly know. I knew a lot about Kevin Poston. He was a bit of a wallflower with life. In general,
You knew Kevin Poston,
he
Jeff?
was more. Oh,
Yeah, not really well. I knew who he was.
But okay, see, so you did know. This
Yeah.
is just collaborating of being like who was where and who was when. And yes, we know who Kevin Poston is, and you knew that he was in security, right?
Yeah, yeah.
he was one of my guards for years up until that fateful day, and he
That
never was.
sucks.
And
Right, and then boom, you're
yeah,
just
just like
cut
that.
off, right? So what happened to him? He went to the
He went to the
RPF.
RPF. Yeah, and I never saw him again because by the time he got off the RPF, I was already gone. If I
Yeah.
remember correctly, but I don't need to even try to remember those type of details.
No,
Anyways,
you don't.
so Dave or John, whatever your name was, good sir, that is the story behind the sniper nest. It's not a
name's
nest.
Ray.
It's not a sniper's nest. It never was. I kind of oddly defend that because that is not what I made it into. It was a elevated
But that could
viewpoint.
have Gary. I would say that could have changed later when other people were chiefs and like, oh, good, put a camera
It could
up
have,
there.
but I got to tell you, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I guess there's no reason to not, just because how wicked that place has become. But there was never ever anybody ever there who knew how to handle said rifle, because that would be taking a very expensive device, putting it in a very dirty environment, and it would just sit there until whenever fateful day could come about, and he wouldn't even know right from wrong as who to shoot, not to shoot, if that's the language we're going to start discussing. But that's the only purpose. We weren't there to shoot the rodents coming up to the perimeter fence. It was to defend ourselves, and we only got it to defend people coming up over the hill, and we could sit from a distance and take care of business from a distance as they came down the hill. That was the initial. I mean, that's what you guard against. You identify threats and you plan for them. So that's all. I'm not saying right or wrong.
Yeah.
That's natural to defend such entity. That was my responsibility. That was the decision I made. I made sure that it was very secure at all times. It wasn't just passively locked behind a cheap cabinet. It was locked in a fortified safe within
so
a building.
sweet. I just love how you're explaining this, and it's because you actually cared. Like,
Yeah.
you knew that this rifle and this is in the same way that you didn't let David Miscavige just say, "Oh, we should lie to the police" or whatever
Right.
it is, you
Right.
know. The fire department. You're going like, like there's still things in my brain that I remember from
Yeah.
they're not gonna. And exactly why you were put on this position. Exactly why
It was-
you were able to heal anybody. You were able to connect. You had sense.
I'd like to think I did, but yes.
You had some nuts and bolts that were connected.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wasn't there to create mayhem on my staff. I was there to protect my staff from
Which
mayhem.
you did. You really did. I'm sorry,
And,
Gary. Even in that fucked up way, you really did.
Yeah, and I truly approached that job and performed that job as a security chief as a service to every base staff member. That was, and I spread that amongst my guards. I made it very clear to my guards. I had a troublesome guard, Danny done it again. But like I said,
we used to call him Barney Fife.
yeah, and there was the Barney Fife, because he was just, I don't know what it was about him, and he just had this level of consistent stupidity about him that
But,
was,
but that's easy for somebody like David Miscavige to control.
oh yeah.
That's why.
And
So he
and
has a
was
confident and imagine David Miscavige isn't dealing with Danny Dunnigan.
No.
You are, Jackson.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
your
yeah.
responsibility.
And he
Go
was
ahead,
very officious, you know.
Yeah,
He was
he
very,
was.
oh yeah, you got to follow the rules. You got to do.
Or you,
I
or
was
he
on
would
the
always,
I was on the purification rundown with his wife at Gold Base as a
Gwen?
child with his wife Gwen on
Yeah.
the purification rundown.
You know, here's a funny story, and Jeff will laugh at this, but one day, one sunny Sunday afternoon, Danny showed up back from CSP, you know, or normally do your laundry, clean your berthing. And Danny had a fat lip. And I rolled up on my bike to the booth asking Danny, hey, what happened? Where'd you get a fat lip from? And Danny claimed that he moved a trunk and it bumped him in the lip. And it looked like a golf ball under his lip. And I'm like, holy smokes, dude, you must have really smacked yourself. He goes, yeah. So then later on, I saw Gwen down in Talent, and I said, hey, Danny's lip looked pretty. He must have really hit the trunk. And she goes, because she was British. And she said, trunk? That wasn't any fucking trunk. I fucking punched his ass. Because he was an annoying little prick. And I know she just couldn't take anymore, so she sucker punched him. And I was just that was just so funny. But anyways, so yeah, back to the sniper thing, please. I'm not defending Scientology one way or the other. It's an unnecessary sensationalized statement to say that there's a sniper's
but also,
net up there.
Gary, you're not defending nothing, but also there is a very much 50% chance that when the next person became the security chief and so, there was some sort of scope and cameras used for to track people and see anybody going in and out of the base. Not only for Sea Org reasons, but also to give information to the local sheriff and like, hey, we're so helpful
that was
to
an
you.
innocent public relations effort.
That's what I mean.
We offered to them, you can come out anytime, we'll review our cameras for you.
Yeah, and we've got the most high-end ones. We don't even know how they work. Come help us.
Yeah, and they loved it. I mean, any law enforcement agency would love that. So we knew that. So,
and sadly they do that down here in the Los Angeles and all over. That's how they canoe and mingle and fraternize with the police department.
That's how they canoodle with the cops. That's correct. So, anyways, that's my answer to that. And
okay, so let's move on. Or is there any last things that, other than everything we're hearing from Mike Brown and through, growing up in Scientology and all the SPTV channels and stuff, is there anything else that we can talk about other than my little and you guys don't know Mike Brown as a cadet, so there's not that, but or with Rosemary, is there anything else we want to say on that note with them other than everything else is being talked about on Mike Brown's channel? I know he has a channel. I need to sign up for that and get some more empathy before I have a conversation with him, so that we have a good conversation.
I just want to say my thing, unless you want to say something, Jeff. I don't want to step on your toes or cut you short.
No, that's fine.
I hope everybody all of our viewers out there and beyond, whether they're watching the live or the replay crew, I'm hoping you're recognizing a new level of exposure of stuff that has always been there, but has finally found its way to sunlight. And this recent discovery, I've known about this whole thing with Mike and his mom for quite some time because I spoke to Mike and gave my little bit of input and helpful info, not being able to help as much as I wanted to, but to think that it all stops there in terms of how dirty the laundry really is of the Sea Organization, the Imp Base, and David Miscavige. This is just still only the tip of the iceberg. And
I wonder, not to cut you off, but I wonder if I just got this thing. I wonder if they drop that money right away into her account.
Lori,
because this is happening to other elderly.
Oh, yeah.
They know this is happening probably to my mother. I cannot wait to find shit.
This is the latest and greatest flap internally, believe me.
Completely insane. Now you have just ripped us open from the inside. We're exposed. We're exposed now.
Well,
they can come at us.
Jeff and I and you get to sit here and be humored by how simple it was by telling the truth to righting a wrong on the inside. And as Osa sits here and listens and watches and then dictates onto paper
what to do next,
a debrief about what happened in said videos, it just sets a wildfire internally because it's effortless for us to tell the truth because all we're doing is telling the truth. They have all the effort to try to cover it up and fix a wrong.
Totally.
And that is where Osa needs... Go ahead, Jeff.
The fact that they paid it off so fast.
Is so indicative.
That gave me so much... Yes. Yeah. That gave me stamina to be like, whoa, I need to go investigate my mom's finances right now. I want to...
Well, see, and here's the thing is I heard that story, I'm thinking back, being that very person being squeezed to come up, where we're going to come up with the money now, and living said flap internally as one of the ones that had to be in that meeting to figure out where is this money going to come from, and meeting with the flag banking officer, the head CFO, and figuring out which funds and how we're going to pool all this money, because Dave in no hell would say, write a blank check out of Sea Org reserves and pay that off. Dave, albeit pissed and wanting to squash an external flap, he would make the flap internally and make everybody pay for it dearly by the fear being increased and squeezed up and making them come up with it. And they don't even know what the hell they're paying for. Just they would be suddenly figure out where this money's coming from. We need $163,726.92, whatever the final figure was. Mm-hmm. And you need to have it by this certain time at this date. Because that was all projected. That was all. We need to have it by this date. And believe me, people stayed up night and day. There was calculators flying. There was accounts being reviewed. There was money being shifted internally. Get this money into this account so we can send it from this account to that account. And it better be done by this time or fucking heads. It's no longer. It's not the heads rolling in the Sea Org. It's
called head
souls.
on a pike. It's called
I know,
head
but
on
it's
a
more
pike.
souls. Souls will be rolling, not heads.
Right.
These-
You're not even ever become a free person ever. You're going
Well,
to be
I'm
a
trying to
stuck
convey
soul
what
on
it's
this
like.
planet. No, I know. That's what I mean.
If you don't take care of this, you are going to be. Your life is over.
Yeah.
And it's just
Which is why Jeff Hawkins knew if he gave my dad something to do, my dad was going to get it done.
Yeah. Well, it's the fear factory that kicks in at such a
Right.
flap, and they're not even aware of the significance of what's going on in the outside world, of what the tremendous, beautiful work that Mike Brown, a loving son, did for his mother. They don't see it that way at all.
No, not at all.
At all.
No.
They just see it that this suppressive person out here is making us, unfortunately, spend money. And I'm sure they didn't get paid that week. They lost the strawberry cheesecake for dessert that night's dinner or the following week's dinner. You know, they paid for it in some way. But, at the same time, Dave may have also said, pay that out of SO reserves and I'll make everybody else pay later. I don't think they could have come up with the amount of money that fast. So, because...
That order had to come from Dave.
It had to cut. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You would be
Always.
a fool to think that
Yeah.
it did not come out of Dave Miscavige's mouth. Pay that $163,000 now, motherfuckers.
And I think 100%. You fucking idiots. Look
yeah,
at
you
this
fucking
PR
piece-
flap.
Excuse
Right.
my French, but you think
That's okay.
Dave
On the
has a
Lara
dirty, trashy
FM
fucking
channel.
mouth? Jeff, he would have been
he's got a
rolling
really
high in
trashy
the
mouth.
disgusting, you cocksucking motherfucking pieces of shit.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And
Put all the
strangling
blame-
people. Strangling
blame.
people and throwing them and
Yeah.
beating the
Yeah.
shit just like he did out of Jeff. Like all kinds of things. I was going to also say every order that is severe and big is made or approved. Directly made
Even the
by David
attorneys-
Miscavige or approved by David Miscavige. And the people interrupting him or stopping him are people like the lawyers and maybe here and there somebody like Jeff Hawkins on a promo thing or Gary Jackson on a security fire shit thing, don't lie to the fire department, things like that.
Right.
Are like, oh, okay, this, I'll have them here because they're feared by me. Right? We were all feared by David Miscavige. But these people are very good at these specific tactics.
Right.
So whether he wanted to disagree and argue and say, Jeff knows nothing, or Gary, why do we need a security chief? Send Biddy over there and ask, what are you doing that's so needed? What is the job title of this? And then he's like, oh, that's actually a very good point. Oh, does Gary, Mr. Jackson does more than just being a security chief at Gold. He's literally, sadly, keeping people in and happy and just like, hey, look, what I
modern
mean?
day concentration camp guard is what I realized I ended up being.
Not to push you in that light at all.
No,
I'm just
but
saying we all had our own out ethics. We were all mutual agreements. We all, we were all part of this poison and this cancer. And now we don't have the cancer. And now we want to help people with the Scientology cancer to get rid of that Scientology cancer. Like my mom
So
and
don't
everybody.
be fooled to think that the latest and the only, the last stop discovery of Scientology has landed on the doorstep. No. This is just, again, I mean, if you were to do a timeline of the shit that has been exposed, the truth that has been brought to sunlight, I don't know, Jeff, when did we really start this? Was that back in 2006, 2007?
I have a question. Well, yeah. Oh,
And
sorry,
it
Jeff.
didn't just start with us. Believe me, there was other people way before us. Tori Magoo,
How long?
Oh,
Really
yeah.
quick,
Oh,
Jeff. When
yeah.
you said you left Gold Base 2005.
Correct.
How long until you started speaking out? Because that seems a year later you were speaking out. That's really
It was
intelligent.
about 3 years, I think.
Okay.
Because I started speaking out, I think it was 2009.
And you brought up
Yeah,
Tory,
2009
Gary
was our
Jackson.
unified. 2009 was our unified shoulder-to-shoulder public expose.
2009. Okay.
I'm just
That's
using
when the Tampa
the St.
Bay
Pete Times,
Times
yeah.
article came out.
I'm just
Oh.
using a time reference to there was up until that point it was mostly exposure and really good exposure and truth telling about what Scientology was all about and basically how screwed up it was. And then in 2009 was actual detailed specifics, current modern time specifics of the international base headquarters.
Yeah.
That it was basically the curtain had been pulled back and we were the ones that walked the walk and talked the talk, and we are here to deliver the truth.
Yeah, that's when I was on Anderson Cooper.
Yeah, Anderson. God, I wish that was still around.
Okay,
Well, you
so
can find it online. Yeah.
No,
yeah,
I
it's
know.
all
I'm just
online.
saying that
it's
that
good to put it
interest-
out there. Yeah, because people want to hear that, and they're going to be like, "Ooh, I want to look at that." I want
Yeah,
to,
that the
And-
like Megyn Kelly or these stronger voices in the media world that don't like to kick stuff so much to the editing room floor, but they actually want the sunlight to shine through the cracks.
Yeah, a little bit
And-
on whatever they're
Yeah.
allowed to say.
Well, and that's the people that recognize that we're allowed to say more than we're made to appear that we're allowed to say, such as Megyn Kelly is a fine example of that, where she has the balls, or where Leah found out with A&E. She made them realize that they had balls and step up to the plate and do what she did. Because if she hadn't, this whole exposure of the aftermath would have not been done, and it would still be sitting on the back shelf. Jeff, how many times did I know for me at least 10 different news agencies and outlets where I'd go do a remote or go down to ABC Studios or NBC, do fucking hours of stuff and make the crew standing there filming it stand there in awe of the story I just told, and you could hear a pin drop in the room. Yet it never saw daylight. It never got airtime. And I'm like, what are you guys wasting my time for? I was a little bit of a prick when people would come to me. It's like, don't waste my time. Don't sensationalize it. Tell it as I told you. And only then can you release it. So this is just kind of I'm sure Jeff did the same. And I know Shelley Christ did, the Matt and Amy. It was so nice. So since that time, up until this time, people cannot think that it's over yet. It's not over. This was just a very beautiful, very in-depth, very intense, latest discovery with a lot of passion work that was done to document the details, to bring it is 100% what happened as best as possible. And my God, Michael Brown did such a great job.
Oh, amazing.
Incredible. And I only wish that I would have had the ability to obtain the documentation that Rosemary had as part of my leaving, because I was stripped of everything. I literally left in a pair of tidy whities, no socks, no hat, no nothing, dropped in the middle of Death Valley. And, I wish I had, I wish I at least kept one OODS, one order of the day, one little document from the base, one picture of my Sea Org day there, nothing.
Yeah.
So, and I'm
then
sure
not
Jeff
only
too.
that, they take away everything. It's not that we wish we could keep it.
No.
We
No,
weren't allowed.
we were thinking we were going to walk away with having the stuff that meant the world to us,
No, they were like,
Yeah.
pack up all your stuff. So then you're thinking, and they're like, and keep it
Yeah.
light, because you
Yeah.
don't need.
Yeah.
And so you
And then
pack
they-
up. Yeah, go
And
ahead.
then they go through it all.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Well,
gonna say. So they
Yeah.
pack up all your stuff, and you're like, okay, look, it's one bag. It's gonna be easy. I can just get on the bus, or I can get on the plane, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And then they go through all of that right before you're about to get on the plane, like you're about to leave the Gold Base, or you're about to leave the premises of. For me, it was Clearwater. You're about to get in the. They go through the bag, and they just. And at this point, you're so excited about leaving Scientology's Sea Org. You're
Yeah,
so
you don't
excited
care.
about just getting out. You're like, I really can't take that with. Why? What if I cut it out? Some things you're like, what if I cut this out? Well, okay, then
Some
you do it
people
right
even
now.
did
Here's
that.
scissors.
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
it. Here's scissors. Oh, okay, cut this out.
Yeah, I was able to keep one picture of my wife by hiding it under another picture in a frame.
Yeah.
Uh,
See, and if you had the time to do that, but unfortunately, Laura and Jeff, I had a lot to do with establishing those procedures and enforcing those procedures of going through people's personal belongings and highlighting the importance and the detail in which you did it. It wasn't just, I made sure that the guards did not do just a casual check, because I also feared getting in trouble
Right.
for base directive going out, and it would just take one to ruin my life. So I made sure that since I had the opportunity in front of me, nothing's going to leave on my watch. And people figured shit out as time went on, but
For sure. And also with your smart, sort of intelligent, sort of, how would I say this? Like, so imagine, right? Jackson is the security chief. He's he's got the ins and outs pretty much of every human being on the base.
Yeah, I do. I have the goods and the deets. Yes.
Like it doesn't matter if you're high in RTC.
No.
He does. This is why the security chief at Gold was very important to David Miscavige. So
Well, I made myself a very good, valuable tool, I got to say.
Well,
unfortunately.
and but him knowing the ins and outs also gave him sort of the intelligence of what a Sea Org member would be doing if they're trying to leave and hide stuff from security.
Believe me.
Gary would know. He would know. He would be pulling over that, picture frame and seeing where that picture of your ex-wife, Jeff, things like that. Well, you were smart because you were one of the highest, Dave Miscavige hated you for your intelligence.
Well,
I'm
Jeff
sure.
would probably be able to relate to this and I don't try to highlight anything special about me, but Dave had his go-to people with particular problems.
Yep.
That Dave himself didn't know how to handle. Gary Weesey being one of them.
Well,
Gary
he's all of a sudden he's Mr. Intelligent because he's like, that's not my hat. Get the security chief to deal with that.
Right.
He knows, oh shit, Gary has to now deal with it.
Or he would allude that the security chief's not doing his job, putting the squeeze on one of his immediate people to go down, put the squeeze on me, and suddenly it would be resolved, and it never took much time or effort.
That's all.
But
he just, you were his other brain. That's why, this is why David Miscavige also is still in the position that he is in, because he's actually being held up by other people. He's He's not intelligent enough to do it by himself.
No, not at all. Yeah, I mean,
not at all.
Even
and
to this day,
he's very, very, very.
The guy
tiny.
couldn't survive on his own.
He's so suppressive. He has squashed himself into this small.
He literally would not know how to do his own miserable portrayal of what life is on the outside, such as flip burgers
or wash his own laundry.
Yeah, or do his own laundry. But Jeff, I mean, back to what my point is he leaned heavily, and he never was outspoken about it, but he leaned heavily on people that they knew how to do their job in marketing. Marketing was a humming machine at one time. And that's why the people were in the positions they were at that particular time. Jeff's successful Dianetics campaign was a good example of that. That led to many other things, many other attempts that Dave was always trying to controlling. I had that for Treytown in security. Mitch created that as the director for the shoot crew, and finally the shoot crew started melding together. There was people down all over the base. All these people found the right niche to be the ones that were relied upon, and he relied on so many people, and without him, he was just a limp dick.
Yeah.
For lack of better terms.
Every time there was going to be an event, there would be a big meeting of all of exec strata and the CMON and RTC people. And then Dave would come in and he'd say, okay, what are we going to release at this event?
Right. He had no fucking idea.
Nobody had any idea. And all the eyes would swivel to me.
Right.
And they'd say, Jeff, what are we going to release? And luckily, I always had an answer. I'd say, well, what I think we should release is we should do this and this and this and this and this. And Dave would be like, okay, approved. Let's get going,
Yeah. I mean,
for example, what would you say? Like, I think we should release this. Like, what would be one of the things? Like, what's one of the things you released?
Well, it's
like
coming
an obvious
up,
thing, I guess.
Say a Dianetics event, the May 9th event.
Yeah.
And they'd say, what are we going to release? And
right. You can't keep releasing Dianetics on the May 9th.
Yeah. And so he would say, well, Jeff, what are we going to release? And I said, well, we've got these Dianetics lectures, and we've got, say Dianetics 55 or something. I'd say, We should do this and this and this.
And this and this, you mean like, is it like revive it, or we should mold it out so it's really, kind of like that? You're giving the whole instructions from like, here's my concept. I think this is a basic book that anybody can read, and we can really sell this. This is a selling point. That's basically what it comes down to. Anybody can buy it, but it's still slightly connected to Dianetics and whatever the heck. And this is what we're like, And so you just pump that up and make it like a new course, a new thing.
Yeah. And all the materials were being re-released, which they always do, and they always will come up with an excuse to re-release everything all over again. So this was during that time when everything was being re-released.
When you say give an excuse, you mean David Miscavige, because nobody else is going, oh, David Miscavige, I think we need to rewrite the Golden Age of Tech. He's doing that.
He's doing that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's saying, oh, all the books are terrible. They have typos in them and so forth, and we have to re-release all of them, And he's done that twice. He did that in 1991, and then he did it again in 2004, 2005. Of re-releasing all LRH materials because they were so fucked up. I also think
he did it again. There's like a Golden Age of Tech 2 or something right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He needs an excuse for everybody to
That's what
buy all of the materials all over again and do all of their courses and levels all over again at full price.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then charge Rosemary's credit card to fucking have her get audited because she's like, oh, all these new basics are coming. Oh my God, I just want to get some auditing before I drop my body.
But see, he's always stuck on the materialistic side of Scientology. How are you going to make money without selling materials and a service?
Totally.
He doesn't focus on
Which makes a lot of people think, it makes a lot of people think that he doesn't necessarily believe in L. Ron Hubbard's technology.
I can't even believe I'm talking about how Dave needs to figure out how to sell a fucking turd, because I don't believe in Scientology anymore. But it's he claims to be, what do they call it, ecclesiastical. That was just a fucking word the attorneys pulled out of their ass to sound and look good on paper. Dave didn't even know what ecclesiastical meant when somebody first presented it to him. That you're the ecclesiastical leader of Scientology. He was like, what's that mean? Guarantee you, Jeff, tell me that he had no idea.
Yeah, the only word he heard was leader.
Yeah, exactly. And you gotta understand, and Jeff will completely understand this, that was the humorous side of being at the top, is that you saw the stupidity that ran amongst our own selves, is that we are the supposed leaders of this great entity, but we had no outside world reality and understanding. For the most part, a lot of us, some people did, and that's, Jeff had his life experience with that, and give their input. But like I said, Dave being an ecclesiastical leader, Dave, I just forget where that I was trying to do a final simple transition here, but
him being an ecclesiastical leader is only done by people like Jeff Hawkins and Jackson and people in their place. He is not he didn't even know what that meant.
And what Dave really is this: he's an apple box boy.
No.
Yeah, but you gotta it's and to think, how did this thing with Rosemary Brown go so far? It's because the fear factory that Dave has instilled in Scientology organizations, that was their nature to come up with such a solution. And Dave would turn a blind eye. How did all this money show up? He probably got a little bit. He never got the full deets about it, but hey, the money's rolling in. Let's keep this going. I don't fucking know. What I do know is I don't know, but it's my educated guess and belief that he was aware it was happening. This is going to run its life cycle, and then it's to pay $200,000, $1 million out of the hundreds of millions of dollars that he made was nothing to him. So
I was talking to AA Ron, and I told him, like, hey, actually, I feel a little more therapeutic after watching Mike Brown's, videos with everybody. It gave me a lot of therapy. And I also said, what a joke that, when I watched this video about they just dropped this money in her account, I just was like, $160,000.
Yeah.
That's nothing to the person that Rosemary was.
That wasn't even a chocolate bar at a convenience store.
Literally a Tiger milk
Scientology's.
bar.
Yeah.
Like, no. And so David Miscavige is so scared like a little bitch right now.
Yeah, like
and,
little bitch.
Like, he's been scared, but this is an extreme wound sliced in Scientology structure.
Well, the cool thing about what Michael did is he
they didn't even go to court yet. They didn't even bring it. That is so telling. Like,
Michael brought receipts to the report of abuse.
Wow.
Where I can only tell you of the stuff that I witnessed without telling you the backstory, because I did not know, or I simply don't remember of exactly time, place, form, and event. And that's strangely referring to the routines of Scientology, but being able to tell you the exact time, the exact day, how much money that Mike, and thank God for Rosemary's efforts that she actually documented these things as she stepped along, and Mike knew how to recapture this information that was not in the control.
You said Rosemary's efforts. She was just being so organized, thinking that she had to pay all this back.
Her executive
and like
assistant.
my mother also has a book, and that's all that is the most important thing to her. It has all the people she calls. It has little family photos. It has everything in that book.
Unfortunately, that's part of the details OSA is going through to capture anybody 100%. That would have similar documentation.
They're going to be like, where's your little phone book?
Where's your little black book?
Keep your little... Maybe.
Where's all your bank statements?
Yep.
Where's the financial trails of all these financial irregularities? And they are addressing it, and that's a good thing. But the one thing OSA and Dave and everybody is this: it's all happened. You can still be litigated against, and it don't change the fact that you did it. It does not change the fact that you did it because you tried to make things nice and put $163,000 back into a sweet woman's account. Does not make it better. And
it was not done out of charity.
No, it's not done out of charity.
That was done out of raw fear.
Fear, and it wasn't done as like
out of love or care or you're right. There was no we're extremely sorry that
totally
some out
sorry.
Epic Sea Org member did this. They're on the RPF now. It wasn't even anything like that. It was like, oh God, handle this glitch in our system.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Dave's Fall Guys, he has no more Fall Guys to say that there's a Fall Guy. Because it's all coming back to him, ain't that right?
We're all on SBTV.
We've been saying it all along. All these, there was suppressive persons at the top of Scientology. What, here's the other funny thing that I believe are under the radars. I'm going to help you realize is that how did the upper levels of Scientology make it to the internet when that's Dave's sole job as the leader of religious technology centers to protect the trademarks of Scientology from falling into the wrong hands? Well, that stuff made it to the internet because Dave was not doing his job. And that's just the first and foremost obvious, significant what the F moment. How is this leader? How can he be trusted? It's like Nike or the guy that runs Hershey's or, the secret ingredients that make up a Hershey bar. How could those get released to the world? That stuff never gets released to the world because there's people who understand they're responsible in positions that keep it that way. Well, the trade secrets of Scientology, how do those make it to the outside world? Because Dave's not doing his job. And it doesn't get simpler than that. Why does the technology keep changing? Because Dave wants it to change to make more money. And he's giving you the appearance that he has some sort of technical pull when in fact he knows shit about... I'm speaking all this as though there's something to be defended, that there's a validity about Scientology. I'm not here to alter your beliefs on what you believe in, but you need to come to shake hands with the fact that the people that are still believing in that and entrusting that Dave Miscavige is a true, legitimate leader,
human being,
about the purity of said technology, he lost control of that long ago, and he knew that he should be eating shit, but he made everyone else pay for it when in fact it was his sole job by definition and legal definition to protect and control the trademarks of Dianetics and Scientology. And everybody knows that he lost control of that. So that's the first thing you should ask him. How come you're not doing your flipping job, dude?
Yeah. Well, every major program or initiative that he has put out has crashed the stats.
Yeah.
And this is what people don't realize because
he's
they're
the
never
source of it.
shown the stats. Yeah. The golden age of tech crashed tech stats internationally. You know, the golden age of knowledge books program crashed book sales internationally.
It crashed people's lives. It crashed people's bank accounts. It crashed in all aspects. But the one thing it didn't do was lessen the amount of money. I had one of my coworkers today come up to me and goes, dude, I drove by Scientology today down at the Portland org. And he went out of his way to go, I basically ran across batshit crazy today. I just want to let you know. And he's in support of everything that I do. Yeah. And I can't believe that they exist still in that whole building. And I said, yeah, there's probably at the most
it's empty.
7 to 10 people that manage a 7-story building. And they sweat bullets to keep the power and lights on. I'm going to drive by it tonight when I'm doing my work at about 3 o'clock in the morning and see homeless sitting out in front of the doorstep because it is what it is. Yeah. They don't even help such folks. But anyways, the state of Scientology is incredibly lost beyond control.
Yeah. And I also, Gary, Mr. Jackson, just kidding. I would say that you're allowed to go on a rampage and you're allowed to, don't cut me. I always cut him off, but I'm like, wait, you know how people are when they are finally able to, when somebody is victim of something, right? Or like in a judge system in the court, they're at the end when they're, convicted of rape or whatever it is, the judge, the victims are able to go up and send a letter. That's what this SPTV channel is really for us. This is our letter to you, David Miscavige, and L. Ron Hubbard, and everybody who has been attacked by this cancer Scientology. That's like, it's as simple as that. Like, we understand, obviously, where you guys are at, mom and dad and everybody else in the Sea Org, still at Gold Base and all of that. Like, we understand 100% your frame of mind of thinking.
Yeah.
Because we have the experience inside and out. So here we are. Please listen to us. Like, we have amazing Jackson and Jeff Hawkins here. You guys were all friends with these people at Gold Base. If they're listening to this ever, or if they ever do get to hear this is going to help them get out of it. Even when if they are to leave physically by themselves, then they're going to hear this and it's going to speed them up. It's going to be like, oh, good, I caught up, and oh my God, Jeff's out. Oh, great, Jackson's out. Oh my God. So when you're out, they don't tell people inside that you're speaking out or that you're suppressive.
Yeah, here's another thing to wake up to, everybody, is that David Miscavige is parading around with what you've now come to understand, who has always been his wife, when it's in fact not his wife. It is such a contrary. It's such in conflict with the beliefs of Scientology, of who he's parading around with and giving off or presenting himself as though who his significant other is, such as Larice Stukenbrock. Henley Smith was her maiden name. But that is not his actual legal wife. And if you found your husband doing such a thing in such a powerful position in a so-called religion, would you not be upset about that? You need to hold accountability to the very man that's not upholding your very beliefs. Mm-hmm. And it's disrespectful to the woman that he disappeared
Shelley
18,
Miscavige.
almost 20 years ago now, and left her to the dust. So imagine your husband doing that to you, taking on a newer, younger version of a woman in his life, but yet parading around as though he's still married to you, and you haven't seen him in 18 years. That is what's going on in Scientology, people.
Yep.
That is what's happening.
In the Sea organization.
In the Sea organization.
This is what's happening. And Jeff, did you ever hear things like this happening, Jeff, when you were inside as just not like Jackson was on security, right? So he's had to deal with multiple people, like with all sorts of thought processes and how they're going to leave and why, fuck the Sea Org, fuck David Miscavige. He's heard it all, right? But you were just not so evil on the security job. No, but you had a different job where your job was PR and promo and all that.
Yeah.
So
all that
I wonder, did you ever hear anything of the sort of somebody being like, fuck David Miscavige? cabbage, or you know what, like he's a nothing, right? You would
No.
never.
No,
That was
you
my
never
job
hear
to keep
that.
it off of Jeff's ears and eyes.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I
And,
wanted to say as well.
And Shelley disappearing was not unusual because people disappeared all the time. And they would just not be there the next day. And you're like, what happened to Joe? And they're like, no, shh, quiet.
Yeah.
No,
Right,
no.
yeah.
Or go to ethics. You shouldn't be asking that. Or like Leah, when she asked about, at the wedding,
Yeah.
where's Shelly? That's why this all started. Where is
Yeah.
Shelly?
See,
Yeah,
even
exactly.
I thought I was going to say hi to Shelly.
even
Like,
when Leah got her response from Tommy Davis that you're not fucking rank to ask such a question, nor was Tommy Davis himself.
Who are you to think that you have the rank
Right,
to be asking
right.
such a question? That's
Well,
Tommy Davis.
The funny thing is unbeknownst to Leah at the time, she could have turned around and said the exact same thing to him, and they would have been caught up in a standstill because nobody was of the either rank or file to ask the same question. But Tommy Davis gave the appearance as though he was, and he actually knew the answer when the fuck he didn't. But
Yeah.
Jeff, do you remember? Go ahead, Jeff.
I was disappeared
Yeah,
like 3-4
So-
times.
yeah.
And nobody could ask where I was. What
Where
happened
were
to
you
Jeff?
though? Where were you though? Let's say
Well-
for the first time when you knew they're just he's off post right now, right? They'll say something like he's off post right now, but how long does that last, right? So where did you go?
The first time I went to the Int Ranch.
Okay. Sorry, I just muted myself. I was like, on point. That's what I mean. Like, so the Int Ranch was literally, I want people to really remember this when I'm talking on these live streams. The Int Ranch, where these children and the cadet org, where we grew up our whole childhood, that should have been a childhood, okay, was the base for people who were wanting to leave. Boom, you're getting sent to Happy Valley. You're getting sent to the Int Ranch. For people who had pedophilia addictions, for people who raped somebody, for people who wanted to kill themselves, for people who wanted to, what else, Gary, were they sent to the Campbell House for? Casavius Tabioian's parents.
Yeah, just being an
Casavius
innocent byproduct
Tabioian.
of someone else.
Yeah.
Right. Casavius Tabioian was sent to the, sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
And also people who knew too much,
Yeah.
like Ricky Drake.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Ricky Drake.
Boom.
Yeah.
She was sent out to the Campbell House.
Yeah.
We couldn't even
Do
talk
you know
to
what
her.
year? Do you know what year that was?
It would have been after I
gosh.
left.
But
It
I
was
was,
af-
wait,
it was
go ahead.
It was after the whole Lisa McPherson thing.
Okay,
So
so I
it
was
was
in
over
Clearwater.
98,
so
98,
that
99.
I want people to also know that when the Int Ranch, all the cadets at the Int Ranch, the Seor young children, were shipped off. That's what it was literally called. Like, are you shipping out? So when we were shipped off to go to Clearwater and all these other bases and stuff, the Int Ranch was being used to interrogate and to enslave people into complete mess. They call it messed work, which is just heavy duty, uncomfortable, really hard physical work that you're putting on your body. It doesn't matter how old you are. You have the same bad slap on the hand as anybody else that is in.
Yeah.
So the Int Ranch was the RPF or closing down to be the place where, say, for example, Mark Yeager, Guillaume Lesebve, they need to go back and stay out of the sight of anybody who's legal. Or, for example, even during the time we were there at Cadets, Gary, you know that Casavius Tabioian was put at the Int Ranch base to keep him away from his own parents that were looking for him.
Well, yeah,
were,
I was witness to that. I was there on the ground, seeing and hearing and watching the orders and seeing it happen and yada, yada, yada. It was just the most disgusting thing to an innocent, great little boy and rearranging and changing his life and not giving two shits of the impact that it had on him.
yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
and also,
people in the
I
chat
also-
here are
Oh, yeah.
asking about is it legal to banish people away? And wow, we just don't dare mention her name anymore.
Wait, no, you know why? It's not illegal when they are doing it to themselves.
Well, here's the thing.
and Scientology interrogates you to do it to yourself.
How does
and they
Scientology
keep you in line.
and the Sea organization get away with this? It's because it's done under the cloak of religion.
Correct.
It's their identity that they've been identified as a religious entity by basically as a seamstress would certify a firefighter. The IRS only publicly acknowledged them as a religion and thus beneficial of a 5031, whatever the fuck the non-profit status little numbers all mean. That was the biggest mistake a government can do, is that there's been no official entity. A seamstress can only certify a seamstress, right? So what's the IRS doing publicly announcing that Scientology is a tax exempt religion, when in fact, like I said, it was a seamstress certifying a firefighter, not knowing what Scientology was all about, but only believing what they were being told. That's it. And from there, the wildfire was set, and everything that you've heard and we continue to tell you about of the dirty details of Scientology, the truth being exposed, are being done under the cloak of religion. And Dave Miscavige comfortably sits there and human traffics, hides the sexual predators, hides the financial crimes under the cloak of religion. That is it. That is all. If the tax exempt status was removed, they would no longer be able to do it, because the agencies and the people responsible for policing said
would be like, this is
would be able to
pedophilia,
act.
this is rape, this, right, exactly.
They would be able to act. Right now,
would
they
be able to
cannot
do their
act.
jobs. In exactly the same way about the fire department being on that hill, like, or seeing that cable, like you're being like, no, you got to tell them the truth, because if they don't, you're even protecting the future already criminal behavior of having like a cord that goes all the way up to the top of this mountain just to heat up somebody who's being enslaved and overworked.
Yeah, and
there should never be somebody there that long if they're that cold,
but
and things
compare
like that.
Scientology as a cult to the NXIVM cult. The difference, there is no difference in terms of the activities and the cult effects for both entities. The difference as to why NXIVM was able to be taken down is because they were not identified as a religious entity. They were a business. Scientology is a business that somehow Dave Miscavige bought his way into identifying and forcing the powers that be to identify them as a religion. And once he had that done and in writing, game was on for him. I could be the meanest motherfucker I choose to be and make billions of dollars doing it. That is basically the simple, stupidest layman's way of identifying it. It's incredible.
Yeah,
I always say that Scientology is a religion the same way McDonald's is a restaurant.
Right. That is so true, Jeff.
like 100%. It's literally that, and that's very funny because it's so spot on, and you're so intelligent of how to say it, because everybody can relate to McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
Well, now we got to let you relate to Scientology. This is just how we got to do. Duchess Diana, stop making us laugh right now. I have to put this up. Hey, Lara, Jackson looks like his BP is going up. Maybe you guys should wind down.
I'm just hitting on a pulse of passion.
Totally. No,
yeah, trying to help you folks understand
that.
These are three people right here, in Aaron and Mike and Leah and Christy and Claire and Matt and Mark. We all walked that walk, and we know we're all saying the same exact thing, just in our different perspectives. But it is all knocking on the same door. Dave Miscavige is nothing but pure bullshit. He is a big criminal liar parading around in $3,000 handmade shoes and suits.
Yeah,
and laughing all the way to the bank.
The emperor new clothes or whatever.
He does not give a shit about the parishioners of Scientology's spiritual enhancements and gains. Believe me, I stood there and witnessed it many times behind the scenes of him. What a fucking jerk off that guy is. At the gala events. And these people he's shaking hands with that, oh, thank you so much, chairman of the board. You're such a... And he would just turn around and literally his hand would still be warm from the handshake and go, what a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
He would say that shit.
Yeah, no, he hated everybody.
He hates...
Particularly...
It's comedy to him that everybody just throws money at Scientology and he gets to live off the riches of it.
He thinks they're suckers.
Yeah, but he knows they're suckers.
There was always just a handful of people at the Ent base that were producing like 90% of the products.
Right.
You know? And those were the people who
that
always got in trouble, were those that handful of producing people were the ones that always were in trouble with him.
Always.
You know, and
that was
just
because
tells
the
you-
people knew right from wrong, and he hated the fact that people had a backbone. The moment
Yeah.
he saw someone had a backbone, he would work to tear it down.
Yeah, and the minute he saw anybody who could do anything that he couldn't do,
Right.
or was more competent than he was, or was smarter than he is, that would put a target on their back.
Oh yeah.
And
Big
since
time.
he is
In a manipulative way, because he also could have been really nice to certain people so that they would just stay on their job, because he knew how fragile they were.
yeah, the people that he was always really nice to were his enforcers.
Right.
The people that
Literally,
acted
you
like him.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, the people who acted like him and would do exactly what Gary just said when, hey, fucking idiot. Like, the RTC reps then would do that as well. Like, okay, we understand. All right, we'll be back. And go to them like, yeah, they think that I'm about to go in and slam their ass. Like, and then he'd be like, great, let me know what
To
happens.
think they ever sat in their little meetings or behind the scenes and go, you know what, that person out there that is on the training floor, they have a real passion and they're doing such a good job, and I can see their belief in this, and they're going to be a great auditor, they're going to be a great director, they're going to be a great security officer, they're going to be a great translator. Dave, and they don't talk about that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So
whatsoever.
it's yeah.
Yeah.
It's
There-
so. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I've always said that there were three kinds of people at the int base. There were the people that were actually producing things and were taking initiative. And I call them the troublemakers because they were always in trouble.
Jeff,
the
there we go.
The mini David Miscaviges, who were like his enforcers, and they would just walk around bullying other staff members.
Right.
And then there were what I call the NPCs, which is a gaming term for characters that are in the background and are not playable, non-playable character.
Right. Oh wow.
And that's all of the people that were trying to be invisible, never do anything controversial, never make themselves visible, but sort of always stay in the background and never pop their heads up.
Always,
Yeah, and
yes.
also never give them too much importance. Like, never tell people like Jeff's allowed to cross order and just talk over. Say David, I was going to say COB, but I'm just like and I have this little funny thing that I'm making that's corn on the cob, and it's COB smaller than a corn on the cob.
Right.
And he's on the corn. He's the cob.
He's the corn on the cob.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's the
well,
cob.
Jeff's kind of referring to there was a significant amount of base staff that they would never express interest in promoting, shining, being
That they were
jumped into the
better
limelight, that they are anything other than they were able to do what they were being asked to do, and they would just do that for years.
And then also
there's-
there would be people, if they did do it, like if there was something really good and they were proud of, they're like, yeah, I swear to God, not even up till like 6 years ago, until my dad stopped talking to me. But like, he was like, oh yeah, he'd always be like, yeah, David Miscavige was really proud of that.
Right.
And it's like, that's what they care about. Like, they care about David Miscavige giving them the validation more than anything else. Or even if they came up with them themselves and did everything, they're like, yep, David Miscavige approved it. So it's really good. It's like, it's so
with
crazy.
with me it was Hubbard. If Hubbard approved it, then that was cool. Yeah.
Ooh, that's a weird. Can I ask a quick thing really quick? What was your relationship really quickly, like in terms of how was L. Ron Hubbard on things and how was Dave Miscavige on things, in a quick sentence?
Well, I dealt with Hubbard on the ship, and the messengers would always come with his instructions, usually on a big
Would
colored,
Janice be
like
one
Janice
of those?
and Terry and all those people.
Yeah.
They would come with his instructions, usually in his handwriting on a big colored card. And then I would do whatever was asked of it, and there would be back and forth, like a conversation.
Okay.
And then he would finally say, okay, you've got it. That looks good. And then it was approved by him, and,
And that was it.
Go. But with Miscavige, there was never a conversation. It was like you send something to him, and then it comes back. This is shit. You're shit. It's terrible. Do it again. And then send up the next thing. That's shit. You're just producing shit. Blah, 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 blah. Try again. And it just on and on endlessly. So much wasted time.
Oh my God. I'm
So much. I wanted to.
What a right thing to say. So much wasted time.
Since I'm seeing it, by the way, and speaking of wasted time, I realize that there's a lot of people out there flying under the radar, and I just wanted to reach out. Because clear off the bridge made a post about, I will blow when I am ready, mentally and emotionally. Not sure if you know, but I am third gen. Disconnection from my family and friends is not something I want. There's other stuff too. I truly wholeheartedly believe I'm aware of the problem that's at hand. It's not easy to walk away. I just want to help convey something that that very concern of yours is the winning factor that the church holds on to is their last controlling factor of their own parishioners, and that it continues and perpetuates the fear factor. The fear factor is what David Miscavige and I helped establish from years ago of how this fear factor is instilled in the minds of the people who dedicate their lives or show up on the doorstep who wholeheartedly want spiritual salvation. And I'm sorry for my partake in that, albeit small, but there's a number of pieces to the big puzzle that came into play that created this basic backbone of fear in Scientology generally. And you shouldn't have so much concern about the effects of your personal freedom of choices of your beliefs, that your choice to believe in something, whether it's positive or negative in someone else's eyes, it's what you believe in. You shouldn't have. What kind of entity is that? That's part of the recognition why we are here, to help guide you through and give you freedom to make such choice without fear of losing so much in your life. And it fucking eats me inside. Go ahead, Jeff.
I've seen it so many times that, say, a husband wants to leave Scientology, but he's afraid to talk to his wife because she's a dedicated Scientologist, and yet the wife wants to leave too, and is afraid to talk to her husband about it because she thinks that he's a dedicated Scientologist. So you have two people that are afraid to talk to each other, but they both agree.
That's
and
right.
This happened with my family.
Right.
My brother was completely fed up with Scientology. His wife was completely fed up with Scientology, but they were afraid to talk to each other about it.
And that's the fear factor that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That Dave is instilled in a religion. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah. And so I was the one that brought them together. And I said, you really need to talk to each other about this.
Right.
And then the next day they called me and they said, okay, we're out. We're out of Scientology, And
if I could be there for people to have said conversations with you and help navigate through and help be that transitional, whether you stay in Scientology or not is not really my point, because that's your personal choice, is we cannot let this Dave Miscavige continue to claim anything about Scientology and continue to allow Scientology, his own playground that he's created, to get away with crimes, human crimes, sexual crimes, financial crimes, on the daily. So, clear off the bridge. I'm so sorry that and I'm not belittling your desires. It's a frickin' shame that you're forced to be in this by the sheer factor of simple fear.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And
we understand it the most.
And we totally understand it the most.
We understand you so much.
And Osa, you guys sit there and fucking laugh at the fact that what you're typing up and what you're forwarding is just This
I
will
don't
not
e-
make any
I
effect.
don't
You know
even
what?
know if they're laughing anymore. I think they're starting. I don't know. I feel my Aquarian intel has
But
told
the
me
fact
like
that you-
Osa's starting to get.
You
We're
type up these
giving them
reports.
information. This
Yeah,
is they
you
should
type
be
up these
hearing this
reports.
instead of a LRH lecture.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
type up these reports of what Jeff and I and Lara and Mike and Claire and
Oh, yeah.
all what we're all saying and the
never-ending
Mike
list.
Browns, and you have no compassion behind the information you're forwarding and witnessing the effects that people are having. You know, shame on you.
Yeah.
Just put the keyboard down, get up and walk out the door, get a hold of the aftermath, and by tonight you will have a safe, secure room to rest your head on and sleep forever however long you want and begin to build a life that you so desire. Every
Yeah.
human being desires a better life. You can't
Yes.
have that in the Sea organization.
And talk to your family,
Yes.
because they may have the same doubts and reservations that you have. And because you're forbidden to talk to each other about it, you don't know that the other person actually agrees with you.
Right.
Yeah.
I wish I had this conversation and passion kicking in to, 2 hours ago, 10 minutes into this show. So I hope we haven't lost anybody.
What do you
but
mean, Gary? We're the most people are watching, by the way, and you have not lost anything. And this is what I mean.
Oh.
You're so humble and amazing and great, and you're healing me. You're making me feel better.
Oh.
You're making everybody listening feels heard. 100%.
Well, good, because
yes.
it's and I know Jeff and I share so mutually the same passion.
That's why we're here, and this is like so healing.
There's
I can't.
and again,
yeah.
Somebody here, Tina and the Lost 20, fear equals unknown, and that is Scientology has done a really good job, specifically Dave Miscavige. It's not anybody else but Dave Miscavige that has created this fear factory in Scientology. It's so fucked up how many people, I myself included, bought into that fear, and what you work through yourself to jump through that fear, be willing to endure whatever it takes to leave.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I have my recovery group here in Portland.
Yeah, Jeff, and I feel bad. My schedule's going to change to open the door for me to come help a brother out and get involved in that in some way. Just so you know, I have not been ignoring you. Like I gotta be up in 4 hours.
Yeah, he knows. You're an amazing human being.
I totally know.
You both are
know that.
such quality human beings.
But
did you see that
we
one?
have-
Jackson, don't beat yourself up about helping build the cult security.
Oh yeah, no.
Your desire to help
Exactly.
was taken advantage of. I just
I
want
know.
like
I
and
believe
we
me, I
all
realize that.
we all know, but it's really good to hear it because
Yeah, I
I
agree.
know a lot of things, and I'm stubborn and but it's actually when I go to bed and I remember what you guys tell me and what the chat has been saying and things, I'm like, what a pleasant feeling of healing.
Yeah, I am more than willing to spend any available minute that I have of any given day, 365 days of the year, to take a phone call and help somebody navigate themselves through this fear factory. Mm-hmm. And you will do it, and you will not be caught. You will not be exposed. I'm hopeful to hear from people. I'm hopeful to hear from my good buddies who used to be guards to my side to side who I know have left, or people that I know have left. That would especially make me happy to hear from my friends that are out here flying under the radar. I would be your chaperone through this. You'd be surprised the beauty that lays ahead for you.
Yep.
I know what it's like to have to navigate that, and I'm doing it now. I got a lady in Canada, in New York, that I'm both helping. Just whenever I can, in the middle of my job, I spent an hour and a half on the phone with one gal from New York on a break. While my truck is broke down, I called her, and 2 hours downtime on my truck, an hour and a half of it I spent talking to her, helping her navigate her situation.
That's so great.
Not
About half of our group is under the radar people.
Well, see, and I would love to meet them.
Great.
I had a couple
So
people
cool.
from Portland reach out to me, and at their pace, they're traveling there at their pace. But I know that pace is being traveled. So, or that path is being traveled. So, anyways, now's the time. It's happening. A new revived forward progress.
Yeah, there are so many people leaving now. It's really heartening.
Yeah. And we're here for you. Believe me.
Yes.
My God, I feel bad that I'm not half as busy and involved as Claire is. My God.
Aw.
Claire's got her fingers in so many pies.
That's okay though.
I know, but
Claire
that's
was
her-
in RTC. She was trained. Just kidding. No. But Claire also relies on a lot of people in the SPTV community to get up and the whole thing is like a beautiful, working, loving, like alien octopus, of just love and like everybody helping everybody.
The cool thing is I'm able to be
Including Chi-Town native. Thank you,
Yeah.
Angel. I'm glad I was able to catch the live, sending all of you much love. I've been doing a good job, guys, and running through and keeping questions there so that we don't have to do a whole questions before we end. So
I think Jeff can. I mean, I think all three of us stand shoulder to shoulder on this. I feel so happy that I can be the very person I was looking for when I was trying to leave. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
That I,
that's
I
a
tell
good
you,
way to put it. Yeah.
all the current under the radars, at least what you do have now is what didn't exist at one time, which was somebody being able to answer the phone and genuinely help you without supporting that fear that you are stuck in, and giving you a path for you to make your freedom of choice, your choice on your own, and better your life. Whether you stay in Scientology or not, that's your choice. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to help you navigate this fear factory called Scientology and the Sea Org.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's it.
And so I also, yes, you're amazing. Yeah, and we're all here for you guys, and we're all here for each other, which is quite its own new kind of therapy, I believe. A group. I mean, other than like AA and all these things, this has been its own creative web, the SPTV community, and it all comes from love or wanting to be loved or heard or wanted to be understood, all things that were all deprived from us the whole years that we were in the Sea Org and Scientology. In some way, shape, or form, whether it's family, whether it's your auditor, whether it's, I worked with him for years in the office. I know there's so many connections because all of these people in Scientology are actually running their lives with their heart and with their love. And then that's being corrupted and manipulated and making these amazing hearts and souls into very robotic, corrupt, numbed, no emotion feelings.
Right. Yeah, and quickly, I wanted to answer a question here because I think Jeff would be humored by this. Ray keeps asking all these fun behind the scenes, in depth, what it was like playing in the play yard every day, questions about the imp base, and this one is, he asked a question about rice and beans.
I answered it, and and then Diana. Well, I answered it with my chat buddies. Duchess Diana answered it. It's because rice and beans has a complete protein. It gives you the complete amount of protein.
Bare minimum protein.
The bare minimum, exactly. I showed it. If you didn't watch, you could just scroll back and watch Ray's question, and then you can see that I used Diana's answer in the chat to
believe
answer
me,
that.
if dog food gave you more protein than beans and rice would have, we would have been fed dog food. Believe me, that is a true statement. So in terms of the entertainment behind the rice and beans, Jeff can probably support this. We either resolved to the fact that depending on how much time you had while on your meal break, but how you spice things up with the blandness of beans and rice was up to the imagination. You could put Hershey's chocolate in it, or you could put Tabasco sauce, or simple salt and pepper, or strawberries and cherries.
Did you ever do the ramen soup with Tabasco and lemon?
Oh yeah.
I mean, just the crusty ramen. Oh my God, wasn't it the best thing?
I may have done that some other time in my life, but we didn't have ramen available to us.
I guess you're right. I
to
did
buy
that
it in the
No,
canteen.
we had cup of noodle soup.
Sure. Well,
if you were upstat, Gary, you don't remember ever having a hot cup of noodle soup on that mountain in the freezing cold?
No, ma'am. By the time the meals got to us up there at the top, it was always fucking cold.
Talk about getting cold meals at the
How about
ranch.
sitting up on that hill for 12 to 16 to 18-hour days?
Gary,
sometimes 24 hours up there.
Massages for the rest of your life.
Oh my God.
Sometimes the rice and beans was better than what they were serving.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say it wasn't that much of a thing, and then you were kind of like,
Well,
add a
that-
little butter and salt, and you're like, this is the best thing
Yeah.
on the planet, especially when
Yeah.
you're in a deprived situation.
Especially in the earlier days when we used to eat out in the tents behind back the Massacre Canyon Inn, and the way they got their votes up for the food and the galley staff and how they determined their own statistics and how
Yeah,
they were
'cause
doing, we
you
used to have to vote.
Yeah, you had to vote.
The way they would help
From
to
1 to
improve our
7.
votes is whether they put shredded cheese in with the watery
beans and the cheese.
scrambled eggs that
Yeah,
morning.
with the beans and the rice.
Or they would toast the
eggs.
bread.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
or they would toast the bread that they would give you with your morning breakfast. They wouldn't toast it; they would give you bread.
Yeah.
But on Wednesdays or Thursday mornings, they would toast it to get their stats up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or for
That's
the
no
later.
fucking joke.
Yeah.
Or they would have panuccio make a great dessert.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, which would make you forget about all the horrible things that.
Well,
happened
and
on
I
the
always
end.
related to that. That's how easy it is for Dave to keep the sheep in line. Is maybe once a year he would suddenly have a cheesecake added to the menu, and for that night's dinner, and that literally in a cult victim's mind, it would be simple. It's like, God, we must be doing something right to get this special dessert, and it would be another sales pitch effectively delivered to buy another years of it ain't so bad here. We had cheesecake. We got to be doing something right.
I mean, that's like Gary. You nailed it on that with the kids at the ranch wanting toast. Like it was really amazing to
Yeah.
have burnt toast because the adults wouldn't get burnt toast. So guess
Right.
who would want it? The
Right.
cadets.
That's right.
And I love burnt toast, kind of to this day.
Isn't it funny the
Not fully
details?
burnt, just enough that the adults were like, nah, it's not
Yeah.
enough for me. As the cadet, the Amber Porter or my sister or Trish or somebody is being the toast I see,
Yeah.
a female most of the time, getting the butter during their mealtime.
Right.
And so the toast person then has to go and eat finally, but then they're excited because they could have a toast because they're the
Right.
toast I see. Like, this
It-
is so serious
this is the
about
threads.
stupid things like this.
The threads of the cult of the imp base. It's just proving how ridiculous the environment that we lived in.
And then Gary, I think we talked about this on an earlier episode, the food, like you said, coming from the gold base on the van run
Right.
to the ranch in pans. Remember this?
Hotel pans, stainless hotel
pans.
pans.
That's what you call them. Yep, stainless steel hotel pans, which we had to scrub and wash and make them
covered
shine
in
and perfect.
cellophane.
Yep.
No
and,
insulation,
And
nothing
what would
to
it
hold
be?
the heat.
What would it be? Those
Oh,
pans
there was-
full of.
From like green bean vegetables in one hotel, whatever the volume was to however many kids there was always a mathematical thing. But if it was rice and beans, there would be probably 2 of rice and beans, 2 of rice and 2 of beans
Right.
to handle the
And that would
volume
be
of
like,
kids.
boop, boop, like, yeah, it would
Yeah.
just be like
Rice
it
and
would be
rice
like,
and beans
there's
made the
your-
food delivery easy because then they had, they would load crates of milk.
quick
What-
gallons of milk.
Yeah.
You know? I
there would be
loved my
butter.
milk. Oh my God, I loved my milk.
I remember seeing the van loaded. I mean, and again, Jeff never saw these things, and this is
Right,
kind of
so
the
that's what
aspect
I was
from
gonna
my
say.
job is I got to see all these details. I then would go up and see Jeff designing his design for a binder and watching him do his thing, his tilted design board, and so on and so forth. And then I'd run out to Happy Valley and just in time to see the van being unloaded of the kids' food, and
Mm-hmm.
it's pouring rain or there's dust in the air or whatever. And as long as it's
so,
food,
but then not only that though, also we would get scraps. So if there was a really good meal, guess what? Int Ranch was like,
Yeah,
you really got to save
leftovers in
some
the
of
fridge.
those for the
Yeah.
Int Ranch crew, which meant, guys, listen closely for you in the back. I don't know if it makes a sound. For those in the back and for those painting, hi, thank you. Suzanne Powers, she's the one in the chat, by the way, said, one of them I just pulled up says, oh yeah, right here, been listening this whole time while crocheting. She's literally made me all of my goldenrod outfits.
You're kidding me.
Amazing. I'm not kidding.
And
you.
who is that
Sandy,
again?
right here on the thing. Sandy Yerkin Powers.
oh my gosh, Sandy.
Isn't she freaking amazing?
That is incredible.
And she's mailed them to me. I have 5 sets of goldenrod gloves. I was
gonna say,
picketing
those things
yesterday
are
with my gloves. Like
Badass. They look like leggings you turned into arms.
they're goldenrod flowers.
Oh my
Like
God.
you guys know that the color of goldenrod ink.
No, I
comes
know.
From,
I'm-
I had that epiphany with you. I think Carrie on one of the
Yeah.
episodes.
I'm well aware what goldenrod means. I live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but like, I mean, that they come from the ink is
Yeah,
from the
of the
flower
goldenrod
petal.
flower,
I
that's
just
right.
was just, anyways. And then she made these for me. Sandy, I'm calling you out, girl. You're amazing. Thank you so much. So sweet. But yes, what were we
Yeah,
talking about the
clear
goldenrod
clear
or
off the
something?
bridge. I wasn't sure I'd be accepted here. You are accepted here, girl or guy. I'm not sure who you are, but you are a human being looking for help and direction, and we're here to help that. So
Peggy P, you mean? Oh, you mean clear? Oh, yeah.
no,
I'm not
there's
sure if
clear
you'll-
clear off the bridge. I can't click on these. Go 3 up from there.
No, yeah, no. I also just wanted to show Peggy's
Yeah.
response because that was really okay. Sorry. Go 3 up. Who was the original? Clear on the bridge, right?
Yeah, clear
I
off the
wasn't
bridge.
sure right here. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure I'd be accepted here. Amy, the love is awesome. Your story is important. Yes, Huns, you're always accepted on the Lara
Yeah,
FM
any of
channel
you-
and on any SBTV channel. Trust.
Yeah.
There's a lot of love, compassion, understanding.
That's
even
why
if
we do this. We're here as a
Yes.
vehicle for you folks to come
we're
sit
here
down
for you. Yeah.
with us, and our ears are here to hear your story and help you navigate
Yeah.
through this tragic
And then not
fear
only for you, but for us too. Like you're helping us going, yes, no, we understand that you're going through this.
Yeah.
And this is exact things that we want. We want this result. We want people to jump in the chats under pseudonym, like different names. It doesn't matter. Talk
Yeah.
to us. This is perfect because you're also showing the people like my mother or whoever, people under the radar that have access to this kind of video, that there's other support from other people coming in that are afraid. So it's
Yeah.
amazing. We
How
love
many
it.
people do we have with us here tonight,
Right.
Laura? I can't
The
see
tops
numbers.
at the tops, it was 222. I was like 222, and I was like, oh, I can't
Oh.
say that because 222.
Well,
But that
that's-
doesn't matter. I mean, not the tops. I just looked up and was like, oh, we're in our twos, and it was like 222.
Yeah.
So it could have gone more than that. I don't know, but that's really great for a live stream. That means this is what's up.
222 people.
Now it's going up. What? How do people know this? Oh, here, you know what we should do? If you guys are all watching, go ahead and do the like, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed and you're watching, subscribe now so you can see future chats like this because I only hang out with the best. Just kidding. That was a good one, right, Jeff?
Yep. That's good.
But yeah, and I also am very vulnerable and open to new people. Like Jackson, I would, if you would be down, I would love to do a live stream with you and possibly Kasavius Tabioyan, and that would, be a healing or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm very much, I would love to do a live stream with Mike Brown, asking him what his side is, right? And then also understanding the mechanism that Scientology uses to brainwash people so hardcore to take over their mental control to then abuse the people that and it could have been done to anybody. Now we hear Mike Brown and he sounds so intelligent. He sounds like has a huge heart and he has children now. So I have so many questions. So boom,
I called
Mike
and
Brown,
spoke
there
with
you
him
go.
yesterday, right smack in the middle of him being a father with his kids. Like, I've only got a few minutes, Jackson, because I'm here with my kids, taking them to I'm not going to say where he was just for that, but you would love to hear where he was.
Yeah.
But it was just, oh my God, to see that cycle of life happening and get to sharing it. It just meant so much. And anyways, I get to see that with Claire and Mike and Christy and Claire and Mark. And anyway, so
And
it's
no,
so
what
fun.
I will say also, just as another view of eyes and a heart, that was a cadet and a child, in the Ant Ranch. It is sometimes hard to see other families having grown and fun, like.
Yeah. Oh
And my
gosh.
brother and I are struggling, and no, we don't have that, and so it is kind of hard,
Yeah.
So we're learning, we're learning and loving. I have a song called "Learning and Loving," which you will soon be able to hear, Jeff.
Yes.
Wow.
I mean, you can watch it, by the way, if you haven't scrolled over on my YouTube into the music video sections. You can watch all my little home. I shoot most of my music videos on an iPhone with some friends or my whatever. So
Nice.
It's nothing fancy, and they were just fun imagery and moments and being in the desert mostly
With
because I'm
Lady
a desert.
Gandhi. or Lady, what was her name?
Oh yeah,
Lady
and then being on tour with Madame Gandhi.
Madame Gandhi.
Madame Gandhi. Jackson always called her Lady Gandhi,
know.
and Kieran loved that. She was like,
She had an
I
elegance.
like that.
She had an elegance about her.
Yeah, she was like, that's okay. You could call me
Jeff,
Lady
did you know that I
Gandhi."
had a house full of, what was it, 6 women
Yeah.
for
Really?
about 4 days?
Yeah, when I went on tour with Madame Gandhi,
They all stayed at my place while she went out and
she's
gigged
a
around town.
She's like a feminist, and she very much supports women and young, children and young women, and letting men
great.
be feminine and stop like attacking men for being feminine and etc. Anyways, we went on this beautiful tour with her music and her like passion for that and whatever, and as part of the tour, as they were putting it together, and I'm like one of her best friends at the time, and also being on tour with her and knowing her business aspect and how great she's gone to Harvard. She's very smart with like all this stuff, right?
Very smart gal.
And so it was just so funny, like to be able to be her friend, but also I had to be on tour, and also I knew that they were looking like, okay, so in Portland, we're playing. Where do you remember where we played? I suck right now. It was some big epic theater or whatever it is in Portland.
Yeah, I don't.
And then also a few hours later, remember we drove down and you came. I think you came to both shows. I'm not sure. Anyways.
Yeah, I came to one show, and then we went and had sushi, but we also went to Music Millennium. She had a show and tell there,
yes.
a little get together, and that was really cool. But I
Okay,
had
so
a
what
house.
the point is the band is all female or
Yeah.
all feminine. It's all feminine or, it's just so funny. And so I'm like, hi, Gary, Mr. Jackson, we need security help here.
But they all stayed at my casa,
Yeah,
man,
so
and we
we
hung
all
out.
we're like, no, we just want to
We were
have sleeping bags and crash like we were at
jamming to
Ranch
music.
Kids. Yeah,
Yeah, we were jamming
It
to
was
music
so
and
fun.
singing and dancing and having
Gary
so much fun.
was reminiscing like
It
crazy.
was so fun, yeah.
You were
watching her
showing us
music
so
videos.
much music. You were showing
Yeah.
us good music
Yeah.
and like,
Yeah.
oh my, it was so fun to do
I-
that.
I
And
wish
to be
I'd
in
known
Gary's
you were in
space, like
town.
cooking for.
Well,
Yeah.
this was a number of years ago. What was it?
Yeah,
2
I don't
years
know
ago?
if you were even out, Jeff.
No, Jeff was out. No,
Oh
he-
yeah, you were.
yeah, he
You're
was.
right. You're right. But yeah, that would have been so fun. Oh my
Anyways,
goodness.
Yeah.
But
just,
the thing
again,
that was
that's
so
living
cool
life.
is that I just called him up.
Yeah.
Hey, I got 8 female,
Yeah, was it
fun,
8? Was
feminine
it 8
artists,
gals?
energies. Yes, 8 of us.
Yeah.
And drummers, synth player, and we just had so much fun. We literally felt like, oh, we're just at our cozy
Yeah.
friends' little place. It was so
It
great.
was so much
Nice.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Anyways,
great.
it was just the way life should be. So
Yep. I don't know where we went with that, but so that we've learned so many things. I was just saying we went right with Madame Gandhi and I've learned so much. I think what I was getting to full circle, full back was that it's kind of like even with the music and like knowing what we loved while we were in, because you don't know who you are really. You're following a pattern of L. Ron Hubbard's policies and lower conditions and now I'm in treason. I have to learn who I am, be who you are, and fucking all this shit. You kind of are shot out right into the outside world, and then you just have this kind of open space of energy of like, well, who the fuck am I don't have anybody enforcing anything on me, and so you start to see and feel the things you like, and start to realize like, why wasn't I ever allowed to do this? Why was this so hard to let Sea Org members have a little bit of fun in their lives? Like,
yes.
I know.
so
Why
mu-
not?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then to manipulate them all the way down to their children, then all the way down to like every aspect of their lives, and OSA holding the passports and the IDs and your social security and having the numbers and accounts to your bank accounts. Again, the fact that Rosemary, that Scientology still had information on Rosemary bank account
Yeah.
is
that was
because
just-
they know that, like, everything about this is disgusting. Mike, I feel like you should this is just more evidence to bring it to court to get Rosemary, $10 million or whatever it is. But wow. Anywho, but that's a whole nother topic in discussion. But I just love that again, anytime you guys have Gary and Mr. Jackson and Jeffy Hawkins, I want you guys back here. We've been doing this like a marathon runners for a good 2.5 hours. So we'll just,
Wow. Yeah.
But do you guys notice that everything we talk about brings up children and the cadets and they were this at this time and then they were positioned here and their parents, like things like this.
Didn't. Yeah, I'm just here for the ride. I didn't notice any more details.
No, that's what everybody's here for. Is this ride? Is literally this ride? It's because it shows that there's so many answers that people watching don't even know they're going to be getting. Just like when we're talking about right now. I don't know things you're saying. I'm like, wait, what? At what time did you, So
that's why I love I'd rather do organic hangouts than pre-planned.
Yeah.
All the time.
Let the conversation go where it goes,
Yes, I love that so much. So on that note, I feel like if y'all have any more questions, you got probably 5 minutes to.
Well, here's one that escaping the cultiverse a question for Jeff. I would say 10 or 15 up from the bottom there, Laura.
Oh, sorry.
Escaping. You're the only one that can bring these up on screen.
I forgot.
Question for Jeff. Did writing your book Closing Minds? Can you see the chat, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm scrolling.
Yeah.
Give me uno momento. I'll pull it up on the thing. What did it say? Who is it from? That's all.
Escaping the Cultiverse. Bolded in question like the listeners do to bring attention to their question.
Boom. Perfect.
No, that's not it.
No. Did you still? That's cute. But here, I'll start that so that
Jeff.
And thank you. If you, by the way, when you're giving us questions, put it in bulk. Put it in the cap. What is it? Caps. So that it says question, and then I don't have to scroll through. So
so escaping the cultiverse did it again, and just above Duchess Diana.
I think I'm getting there. They're gonna be like, you need to. Oh, I see. Okay, just above this, above the one that I just did.
I don't know.
Sorry, boo boo. Okay, what was the question? Escaping.
It's in bold. So it's Jeff. Have you seen it, Jeff?
Yeah. I'm
okay. Read it out.
So yeah, I was trying to bring it up for you, Jeff. So
is it this? Yeah. Boom! Found it.
Yeah.
For Jeff, for people who are impaired in their hearing, in their seeing, the question is from Escaping the Cultiverse. Question for Jeff: did writing your book? Question for Jeff. Question for Jeff: did writing your book Closing Minds have reveal more to you about Scientology mind control than you expected?
Yeah, this was the third book that I have written about Scientology. I've written 3 books. And this one, I took the book Introduction to Scientology Ethics, which I had kept a copy of because there was something about it that I wanted to understand. And so Tony Ortega asked me to write a series of articles about Scientology ethics, which I did, and then put those all into a book. But basically, the idea behind that book is that Scientology ethics is the mind control technology that Scientology uses. If they didn't have ethics, they wouldn't have the ability to control people, because that is the control mechanism in Scientology.
Yeah.
So I, in that series of essays, I picked it apart chapter by chapter and, just sort of analyzing how that particular chapter was used to control minds. Mm-hmm. And so, and it was, I realized a lot in writing it, and I'm hoping that it helps people to kind of pry themselves loose from the mind control mind control.
Is this the book? Is this the book I'm getting in the mail soon?
No, that's his book that he wrote.
Okay.
Yeah. And Jeff, to support your statement about that, my historical, complete, utter Sea Org career involvement in the ethics, the enforcing aspect of the Scientology organizational board ethics. I had word cleared That's a Scientology term for a different way of studying and coming to a comprehensive understanding of written L. Ron Hubbard materials. In all the methods of word clearing I had done of the ethics book, the one thing that was made very clear to me was the definition of ethics and the definition of justice. Ethics, by definition, in the Scientology world, is actions the individual takes upon himself, and justice is the actions that a group takes upon an individual. So ethics, by design, the ethics book is there to afford you the keys to your own success of how to navigate around to take the actions upon yourself to keep yourself on the straight and narrow.
Yeah, which is the essence of mind control.
Which is the essence of mind control.
It's not somebody else controlling your mind. It's
That's right.
you
It's
controlling your own mind in
That's
ways
right.
that are dictated by the group.
And thus the key to the cult of Scientology's success is that you've taken away half their work to get you to fall in line to follow their ways.
Yeah. Yeah, I always remember the song Hotel California.
Yeah.
There's a line in that where they say, we are all just prisoners here of our own device.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think
It's
about
funny
that
how many-
every single time that song plays.
How many times there's a song that conceptually conveys what we've been screaming for years.
Oh my God, full circle. At the beginning of this, Jeff, while me and Jackson were waiting behind
we
the
were
stage,
sitting here
we were jamming to
to music.
Alanis Morissette. We were jamming to, come on, throw them out, Rod Stewart. Like, oh my God. And then I'm like, can't we just, I was like, let's just go into the stream like this, while we wait for Jeff. And then he goes, yeah, but then you're going to get all these like monetization rules from all of the different bands that I'm like, oh, that's true.
Yeah, unfortunately it was,
But we were jamming backstage.
We were having
like
fun.
Alanis Morissette. Oh,
Yeah.
What there were so many times I cannot tell you when I would be honestly like, it didn't matter at this point what the physical work was that I was doing. That's not where I'm getting to. It was my mental state at the time.
Yeah.
And also being able to hear music was only really happening from sort of a far away from somebody else's, radio that was in ethics and was allowed to have their music playing in the, greenhouse where you wash all the vegetables or whatever it was, right? And I would hear, of course, because Alanis Morissette at the time was, all over the radio. And and it was because her album, every single song was just so relatable, I guess, to some, all the way from obviously Gary and to you, I'm sure, Jeff, you let probably
I have
like
to this
Alanis
day
Morissette.
been trying to figure out how to write that girl and thank her for those songs on the Jagged Little
But
Pill
imagine
album.
10 million other people, billion
well,
other people.
I know, and that's the
doing that.
unfortunate thing. But in terms of
like
navigating my way through how to leave and building the strength,
Oh, my goodness,
that music,
yes.
the songs, what it would do, what music does to you, human being. Well, I was one that was trying to leave a cult, and in my own secret way, trying to answer my own questions, and we all feel that they're speaking to us when we hear that song, and the artist just created it on their own life experiences, and we may hear it or understand it differently. But I got to tell you, that Jagged Little Pill album was like
I still
comparison
love it
to Mark's
so
Depeche
much.
Mode.
Yeah.
Desire and liking for Depeche Mode and what it means to him and the history it created for him in New York. Well, that is what the Jagged Little Pill with Alanis Morissette did for me when I was riding out 365 fucking days.
Yeah, there was one song that helped inspire me to leave by Nora Jones.
Oh my God,
If you're
Nora
familiar with
Jones.
her.
Humana,
She has a
humana,
song
humana.
called
Yes.
"Come Away with Me."
Oh, wow. What
And
a great song.
I would listen to that song and I would imagine leaving and going away to this. She describes the rain falling on a tin roof, and I'm like, oh my God, I would just like to be out and away somewhere.
Yeah. So music played it, and that was our only true
Wait,
form.
Jeff, what was that song again? I want to remember that.
Come away
Yeah,
with me.
it was
Yeah.
called "Come Away
Come
with
Away.
Me"
Yep.
by Nora
Come Away.
Jones.
Yep.
Oh my
good.
God.
And the other one that really impinged on me was what's
While you
Oh, me and-
remember. Oh, yeah.
me and Bobby McGee. by Janis Joplin.
Joplin.
And there's a line in there.
Jeff, I can't wait till you come to one of my shows. Oh my God. But yeah, there's a line in there.
There's a line in there. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose.
Yeah.
And that was just so, that really hit home with me, because I was like, what else do I have to lose? I've lost everything.
That is such an interesting human experience to experience as a human when you reach that state in your life, which is beyond, like, I lost a paycheck and my Social Security's about to run out. No, it's 100 times beyond that of what do I do as a human being? I mean, you truly do not, it does not, you don't care 1 ounce or the other whether you can be sleeping on the street, a park bench,
You're like, you know what? I'll just keep my TRs in and get through
and it's
it.
Like,
the way out is the
so
way
much
through.
Better.
The way
So
through
much
is
better
the way
than staying
out,
here.
or whatever they say.
So much better and more enjoyable than staying here. At least I don't have to be here anymore.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to sleep in a pool of piss in front of a closed down Starbucks at 3:00 in the morning when it's just starting to snow. That is so much more happiness than staying here. So
yeah.
What about Rage Against the Machine? You know that song? Fuck you.
You know, I used to listen to, when I was routing out, I used to listen to K-Rock in the afternoons and listen
KROQ.
K-Rock, and I used to listen to Chimmy Chim do the surf report, and I'll forget. Oh God, I just had the anyways, it was my go-to. Yeah.
What, the Love Line?
No. That was later in the evening, although I did listen to the Love Line. That was always short-lived. But again, that was us learning,
Did you have to
exposing
write an
ourselves to real
OW
life.
about the Love Line?
Yeah, like these people
was
having
listening
these
to
sexual
Love
experiences
Line.
speaking on.
Yeah.
But there was
K-Rock.
another radio show. I'll have to talk about those later because Chimmy Chim was somebody on the K-Rock that I specifically remember, and I used to reach because I used to hear his bird chirping in the background. We'd be given the surf report down in the South Bay. I just loved it. Just listening to these people living life, you know? Mm-hmm. Anyways, that was just my little bits of heaven that was not controllable by the church. I'd listen to K-Rock. Yeah, listen to K-Rock during the day and the DJs. And, you know, if I was a little bit more prepared, I could remember all the little details of the DJs. Mm-hmm. There was the morning show with Mark and Brian, of course. I always remember that. Love the Mark and Brian. And then Chuck Moshantz was one of the DJs. They always did the rock report, so on and so forth. So, you know, I remember these things. And I used to listen to old radio programs at night that they used to do the TV
like Kevin
shows
and Bean
by
or
radio. No. This is like from the 1930s and 40s where they would reenact some cowboy crossing through the open plains, and they would sit there with coconuts to reenact in front of the mics of horses trotting through town.
Do you know what this is, Jeff?
Oh my gosh.
A radio show.
KFI, yeah.
Grew up with radio because that was before TV, because I'm like a really, really old person. Mm-hmm. And so when I was a kid, we didn't have TV. We had radio shows. And we do all the sound effects and everything, you know?
Yeah. And I had a police scanner, which I got around here somewhere, but I had a police scanner that I purposely bought from Canada because in Canada you couldn't sell them in the US, but you could sell them in Canada that a scanner that could listen to any frequency that there was. It was an unrestricted radio scanner, police, fire, any scanner. So I could listen to the TV channels. I got the frequencies for all the local TV channels for ABC, NBC, Fox, KTTV, KTLA, and I used to listen to the TV. And I used to listen to Married with Children. I used to listen to the Star Trek, The Next Generation. And I used to secretly listen to TV even when I was sitting on watch. It was the fucking coolest thing. Plus, I could listen to any cell phone. Anything that transmitted, I could listen to the frequencies on this scanner. And I still have it to this day. But
I seriously have, for no reason. Look, I think I can reach it if I can reach it. Can I reach that, my dear friend? Look at my sweet friend just listening to me on the live stream the whole time. That little radio thing, because I just want to show the world I am obsessed with this. I'm a weirdo. What is my problem? Why do I name all my music and bands after this? I
Look at
love
that.
it's just a tape recorder player with the radio.
Yeah.
And the antenna, and it's battery operated.
Yep.
And it just feels so cool and safe to me. I
Yep.
think this still today is better than the fucking iPhone.
I agree.
You
As
know,
long as you can
but,
get a signal, you got
but
happiness.
it was so cool to be like, whoa. You know, I used to also have that feeling when I would steal the security radios or the adult radios. Yeah, ask
the
Kasavius
two-way
Tadioyan.
radios.
Oh, he probably thought that was so clever. I bet. I mean, we'll get to that. I'm sure, maybe. But when I would run away with my friend Sarah Leobard or Alex Nunn, we got the running away down so much that we're like, okay, so they lock the adult office at this time. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab the spare radio. That's
look
the
at that.
Bag
There you
Cadet.
go.
That's Catherine Spallino's book from
Do
the
you
Pack
know her?
Ranch. Yes, very well. She was one of the
Okay.
couches. Yes, I'm still really good friends with her. I love her. And her brother, Jason Spallino, I do music with all the time. In fact, the
Oh,
music,
wow.
a lot of music that people like, okay, if you go to YouTube right now and you go over to my music video section, we wrote a song, and he wrote it. He does music for me. It's not like he some of the stuff I make him make or whatever. He's like, oh, I'm not proud of that or whatever, and I'm like, I love it. So it's not. He very much lets me be the artist that I am and makes beats, and he loves certain songs, and some songs he's just not as fond of and whatever. But we make music and stuff all the time. But if you go over to YouTube, one of these other songs that one of the songs we made together is called Dark Side, and it's similar to, it's like, yeah, anyway, you go hear it. Being things that you are not will run you down, run you out, make it so you can't sleep at night, was very much for the Sea Org members, stuck in my book, like, oh, so you can, and me, my psycho self, being like, you can be what you want. Ooh. Oh, yeah, you can be what you like, but being things that you are not will run you down, run you out, make it so you can't sleep at night.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, go look it
Cool.
up. But so, yeah,
Very
all those
cool.
videos, yeah.
Laura,
Yeah,
Radio,
go ahead, Jeff.
I wanted to let Catherine know how much I enjoyed her book. She is a really good writer. Yeah.
wow, and that
She-
is real. Go ahead. That's amazing for her to hear from somebody like you, Jeff. I'm sure.
Yeah, she put me right into the scene,
and
I
that's
was
a
just-
good writer.
That is a good writer who can
Yeah.
do that. And I was just so impressed with that book. Yeah. Plus, I love the cover. The
That's
cover is just
amazing.
So
You know
great.
what? I think she's doing like a book. She does them a bunch. Even, she does a bunch of book clubs and things like that. I'm sure she would love to even just have a live chat with you and talk about the book. And did you know her parents? Did you know Jason and Catherine? And they had a brother, Philip Spallino. He passed away. And they have a sister, Daisy, and she's in the Sea Org. And their mom and dad, I'm forgetting their names right now. But anyways, Eunice Spallino, I think, is her mom. Eunice
Yeah.
Spallino.
I
And,
never knew them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, that would be really cool for you guys to do.
Hey, Laura, I have to keep my discipline in because I got to get up at 10 o'clock.
Okay, honey. Any more questions for you, sweet angel babes? Let's
Gotta-
do. I'm gonna. Yeah. So we're gonna. We.
I mean,
will
you
get
guys are
on
more
that.
than welcome to stick around. I don't know.
I want to just make sure really quick. Right here. Bam. Does Jackson have a
Oh.
channel? Clear off the channel. Can you announce your channel,
it,
Jackson? And I'm also gonna put it in my
Yeah, it's
things so I can put it out there. So what is it called?
it's
He's actually.
at Gary Jackson Moorhead on
Yeah,
YouTube.
he's also streaming right now with me, so you can
Yeah,
just
I
look
think
at the
Goldie
video.
can-
Yeah, and
Goldie does
Goldie's-
good. I'm copying it here to
Exactly.
post it.
So there you
Post
go.
it to the comment, and I'm pasting.
Okay.
There is.
I guess this is for me. Do you still have family in Toronto? Yes, my whole family is in Toronto or somewhere in Canada. Either way, Yes, but most of them are what they call in Scientology wogs, who are non-Scientologists. So honestly, I want to get to know them. I want to, but it's also difficult also learning even now the reality of our lives and seeing things as they are now and speaking out loud. It's hard to just be like, "Oh, I want to be great friends with my cousin now." Like yeah. So
Okay,
yeah.
Purple Groovy. I think I just figured out why she's Purple Groovy 69. But see, there's a song by Prince, and thus
Yes.
Purple Groovy
Yeah,
69.
yeah.
And if you know any Prince song, 69 is pretty significant. By Prince called Free, Laura, and she's asking you to take a listen to it.
I will definitely do
I
that.
literally can nickel and dime my way into another hour here, so I have to step it up. And
Yes, Jackson, one more for you. Sorry, Jeff. We'll let Jackson go, and then we can go. Jackson, Lara, and Jeff, you'll make a great you'll make a great team. I like listening to you.
well, thanks. Yeah, I enjoyed hanging with my good buds here and hanging with the many names but no faces. But I feel I know you all in its own wicked way. So, like I
Yes.
said, if I could keep going, which I'd love to, I'm going to end up working with no sleep, and that's pretty risky for my job.
Everybody, give
can't
Mr.
do
Jackson a beautiful blessing and good night, and wish him the
Yeah.
best, deepest sleep. And he wakes up thinking he did not at all.
I still got to figure out how to get a set of those wicked glasses you had in that whole
I'm gonna
thing
send
we had
some
at the beginning.
to you. Oh, you wait.
Yeah.
Miss Lara FM here is gonna be sending both of y'all some. I was like, let me get that address so we can just
Yeah.
get used to this.
I just think
Keep it
that
on
would be
repeat.
fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be really fun.
All right. Well, I'm
Thank
going to
you
back
so
out.
much.
You all have a
Everybody's saying
continued
good night.
time.
They love you so much, Jackson.
Thanks
We
for hanging
love
out,
you.
Jeff.
I love you, Jackson. We're gonna
Love
see
you
you
too,
soon,
Laura.
and I'm gonna chat with you anyways on the side.
All right.
Mwah. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Jackson. Hi, Jeffy.
Hey, hi.
That was so fun. That was so cool.
That was great. Yeah.
Like, wasn't that really fun to just hear both of you and hear all the connections
All the
of being
different,
like, oh,
yeah.
and how much
That's
you
just like-
remember?
Yeah, it's like two different viewpoints, and then we
100%.
kind of get a rounder picture of things,
Yeah, and it felt like it just feels very good, and it feels like we're able to like, like this is the therapy, like the kind of, what do you call that, universal therapy, like we're kind of creating it naturally, like, wow, this is the thing that's actually helping us now.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yes, we've gone to therapy, we've learned things, we've learned how to eat better, we're learning about life in the simplest ways of putting it. And then I don't know, it just simply starts to all make sense, and it's so enjoyable. It's not so tough to kind of go back and see it for what it is, but it's healing it as we're upset about it. Is exactly how I felt also at the protest, and where I was definitely very vocal, as they would say.
I saw that. I enjoyed that so much.
Oh,
Watching you
I'm
walk
glad.
around the complex.
Yeah, that was really nice to hear people later after, because I also couldn't like keep up with the streams and the comments,
Yeah.
And it was just really cool to hear people later being like off the record, people that were watching that are under the radar were just like, that freaked me out. Oh my God, I can't believe you were right there doing that and yelling, and oh my God, and how does Odo look? And it was just, it's crazy. Yeah.
Whenever I come down to LA, which is maybe once a year, I like to stop by the complex. I have a couple of really good college
What do you mean
friends.
you like to stop by the complex?
Just
Just stop in the car and look at it?
No, I'll walk around a bit,
Like
just,
on L. Ron Hubbard Way?
Yeah, and all the way around Catalina.
Do they just not recognize you?
Eventually they recognize me.
Okay.
And the security comes running. But the last time I was down
And
there,
you don't recognize any of the security guards?
Well, Odo was around when I was doing this. But
See, so Odo came around and was like, "Hey, Jeff, how you doing?"
Well, here's what happened. I'm walking around the complex. I'm walking up Catalina past the horseshoe entrance, and I spot two deck people, two people in decky uniforms,
Wait,
and
so that means like the RPF or something, right?
yeah, but not the RPF.
Or
It
the
was like
EPF?
the DPF.
Oh,
So this
okay,
was a
okay.
couple of people on the decks, and they were people that I knew very well. I had worked with both of them. It was Samantha Powell and Manu Spencer, and I had known these gals and worked closely with them at base. So now they're down here on the decks and they're walking along the sidewalk, and we see each other, and they're like, "Hey, Jeff," and big hug. And then we start talking, and they're like, "What are you doing now?" And I said, "Oh, I live up in Portland. I've got a graphic design studio up there." And they're like, "Are you down here on services?" They had no idea, no clue
I
that I
can't
was.
believe that, Jeff.
Yeah, totally. They're
So
like,
how
"Are you?"
long, not to interrupt the story and excitement, but how long, honestly, like if you look back and think about it, 5 minutes, how long did you have until Odo came or whoever? How long were you talking to those people for?
Oh, probably a minute. We're
Literally
just going.
1 minute,
Yeah, we're
right?
just going blah blah blah
Like
blah blah
they're
blah
going,
blah.
oh my God. Right. So many questions
Yeah,
are being asked in 30 seconds.
yeah. And I look out of the corner of my eye, and I see the security guard running as fast as he can towards us. Bless you.
It's my marijuana, baby.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm really good at muting, so I mute right when I'm about to. But I can still hear you, Jeff. I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So out of the corner of my eye, I see the security guard racing towards us as fast as he can run. And he gets up to us and he says, "Sammy and Manu, you can't talk to him. Come away, come away. You can't talk to him. And they're all like, what? And so they leave, and the security guard is telling me how I have to leave and so forth. And anyway, I was done, so I left. Yeah.
Well,
But
so when he comes up to you, are you like, oh, okay, like wait, oh, okay, I can't talk to them, or were you acting
yeah,
like, oh, you didn't know you couldn't be there, or were you just like, yeah, okay, I'll leave?
yeah. I knew what he was doing. I
Yeah,
probably gave him a little shit,
yeah.
as I usually do. But I basically
That's
left
so
after that.
wild, right?
Isn't they had no idea
You know what
that
was so fucking shitty? Oh yeah, go ahead.
they had no idea that I was out and that I was like a complete and total SP.
They
You know?
don't as we said earlier on this chat, they don't let you know when your good friend that was in the Sea Org left. They do not
Yeah.
let you know. In fact, it's against Sea Org Scientology policy to tell somebody else in the Sea Org that you want to leave or that you are leaving. You will
Yeah.
immediately be declared a suppressive, which is what SPTV is all full of.
Yeah.
Here we are. Sorry. So then, so you just walk. This is down here in the Big Blue, as people call it. So
Yeah.
then you were just visiting, so you go down there. So you have your friends, and you're like, hey, I'm just gonna go stop by. It's kind of a thing you do. I always did it. Anytime I'm near the base or anything, I'm always driving it around. Now I live near it, so I don't need to do that at all. It was just so strange to be like, like,
Yeah.
hey guys, I'm here. It's so weird, right? Because this is a good question. Did you ever see the picketing happening at Gold Base, or did they just shut you inside before you could even look at the signs or anything?
We were shut inside whenever there was a picket, and we couldn't leave. And so if the picket happened over dinner hour, we were fucked. We couldn't eat dinner. And so we hated the protesters because they were keeping us from going to dinner, So it's a very selfish reason.
Yeah.
But no, we weren't allowed out at all. We were told, there are picketers. So, you can't.
Yeah, and also
You
like
can't see what's on their signs. You can't have any contact with them at all.
Yeah, and not only that, they also, um, what was I gonna say? They also take. I was gonna say. So they. So you're. Oh. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. They not also they don't. They don't only do this for picketers. They have even what Gary was saying earlier is they have like root drills. They have like intruder drill, blow drill, fire drill. They have drills for everything. So the moment there's just one alarm that goes off, or the security on the loudspeaker or whatever siren goes off, that everybody's trained, just like a jail system, everybody, when they say to the floor or whatever it is, you get the frick down, or you're considered violating an order and doing it outright. It's like, and you get shot, like, or you, whatever it is, so it's the same thing in a Sea Org campus. It's always like this in any kind of Sea Org organization. It's like, especially Gold Base, this is how it was for sure. That, so there's a picket drill, and that's right. Wherever you are, you just stay in there. So if my mother or Jeff Hawkins is stuck in the office and they're there, they just have to stay there until they're told to do something else. And then while you're staying in there, you still have to be doing something productive.
Yeah.
Like making phone calls and getting,
Yeah, you still have to do your job.
You just can't go outside. That's it. Do what you're doing. Schedule's still the same. Wait on the food you'll eat later.
Yeah. Yeah, because on the end base, you have to go outside to get to the cafeteria.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to walk, and they'll see that. Like, that alone just shows, like, look, at this time, all these little ants of uniforms start crawling out to go. And mind you, right, Jeff? You're running to the fucking, to the sea, to your, whatever it is, to the galley to get the food because you're so fucking hungry. And if you don't get enough of it quick, it's going to be gone by the first, whatever it is. I'm just saying, and people are hungry and they know, they can only relax for the next basically 20 minutes, 25 minutes before they have to clean up and get ready for muster and be back on the job.
This is the one thing that we all experience when we get out is, we go to a family dinner and the served, and the Sea Org people go hum.
Literally scarf the fucking food right off the plate.
30 seconds.
I catch myself doing that. I'm like, relax, enjoy.
Yeah. Take your time,
Oh my God, what a nice thing.
Yeah, to slow myself down and say, okay, the food's still going to be there 5 minutes from now.
It's like dogs. Like when I adopted Foxy, she was like crazy, and then really sweet overall, and pissing and pooping. Like I was like, oh my God, I have a child on my hands. And then most, like, even having an animal now in the outside world has shown me what unconditional love is, but also what putting your effort into love is, and also reflecting, going, oh, I hate myself for yelling at like that at her. Why do I do that? She doesn't need it. And I'm like, oh, that's what Renee Berther did to me, or that's what Dan Perbilski did, or that's what, Mike Brown or whoever. Like, and I'm like, why am I doing that? Why am I doing that to this little animal that is actually, as I'm starting to learn, is so intelligent? And I was like, I should just use. It's so weird. She taught me how to, like, literally reprogram and, like, teach my brain how to even view things on a daily basis about my life. Like, and I didn't, anyways, really cool. So, and it just sucks that all that's always taken away from us. And if we have it, it's taken control of. It's like, how much can you have? How much time not? How much time are you allowed to see your kids? When are you not? What did you do during the time that, like, my mom and dad and other parents would go to the Inn Ranch, like, to go see the kids? Were you just at where did you live? At the Kirby, at the Kirby, Devonshire? Or?
I lived at the Devonshire when we first arrived, and then I moved to the Kirby Gardens. So
after a few, right? Because they switch it up. They need you to not get too comfortable with where you are.
Yeah. Well, they were trying to make the Kirby Gardens all Sea Org. Like there would be no WOGs there.
Oh my goodness. Right.
So they were trying to fill up every apartment.
and my mom and dad eventually moved there to the Kirby Gardens. So then what happened with that? I guess
Well,
they did end up, no, there were still some non-Scientologist people living there at a certain point. Yeah. And we
well,
weren't allowed to like go on that side or something.
uh,
I think there was that.
Eventually they were all moved out, and it was totally Sea Org, because then they
okay.
could lock it down and put up
Right.
security guards
And
and
the
all
gates
that
and stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, as they did with the Hacienda and Clearwater and stuff like that. Okay, this was the question from Purple Groovy 69. Hi, honey. Question, Jeff. Once you left Scientology, what was the first thing that made you realize that you had been love deprived? Oh.
Yeah, I saw this question. And I didn't really think of myself as love deprived, because at that time, just before I left, I was married to my third wife, Catherine. And we were very, very much in love. So I had her. So I wasn't love deprived, in that sense. And we loved each other very much.
But also,
so.
I think her also, I mean, that's sweet, but I think her question is like love deprived in terms of being loved as a human, real love. That's not being controlled by David Miscavige and everything. Like now you're free and I'm sure you're getting love in so many ways, even through your daughter and I'm whoever. Like I think she's going like, I guess the question is a big question. Once you left her, what was the first thing that made you realize that you're going like, wow, I couldn't do any of this? I guess just by experiencing it and enjoying.
Yeah, just by experiencing. I'd say, a big turning point for me was when my daughter came down to see me from San Francisco, and we had a whole weekend to talk, because that was the first time I had told anybody what was going on at the Ant base. And she was going, "That's crazy." And I was.
Were you laughing? Like, yeah, well, we had to do it, we just got to get like not, but talking about it.
I went between laughing and crying. And
too.
Just, back and forth and back and forth.
Oh my God, I did this with my friend it's weird to call her a friend because she does feel sort of like a mother to me now that, being out in the outside world. But I did that with her so many times. We were supposed to just have movie night. Instead of having movie night, we would be just sitting and having our wine, and I would be crying and laughing, and she would be filling me up with like, no, honey, your mom should have held you right then. Like, just teaching me so much basics of love. Like, wow.
Yeah. Totally.
So thank you,
well,
Purple.
My daughter did that for me.
Yeah, and I'm sure. So she's asking you, like, she's like, what? That happened? I'm sure she was asking you, like, well, how did you eat? Well, how much sleep did you get? Like, right?
Yeah,
I'm sure because she doesn't know things as well.
Yeah.
And there's no way that when you leave the Sea Org, by the way, the Sea Org tries to control everything when you leave. Like they keep tabs on you and whatever. There's no way they can control a conversation once you leave from your fellow loved family member.
And I was telling this stuff, and I still had the viewpoint that this wasn't unusual. This was just life. This was normal. And then she would go, "That's crazy." And then I would go, "Yeah, you're right. That is crazy."
Yeah.
It was just getting that other viewpoint of how crazy that was, because I was thinking that was normal life. That's the way things are. And then she was giving this viewpoint of, that's nuts. And I was going, oh yeah, you're right. That is nuts. And having that kind of realization that I had been in a totally crazy environment,
Yeah.
Which to me had been normal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we come.
She also asks, if your wife really loved you, why didn't she leave with you? Purple heart.
Yeah, no, she didn't really have that choice. She was very invested in Scientology. She wanted to get up the bridge. She wanted to go clear. And she also was friends with David Miscavige because she used to travel with David and Shelley, and she was kind of their logistics person. She would book all the flights and get the taxis, and whenever they were traveling, she was the logistics person who would get all the train tickets, plane tickets, cars, whatever they needed. So she was pretty tight with them, and she would send them birthday presents and Christmas presents and all that sort of stuff. So she wouldn't hear any criticism of David Miscavige.
Right. Nobody does.
So she was, she loved me, but she couldn't follow me because that would mean leaving Scientology, and she wasn't ready to do that, which I don't hold against her. I mean, I stayed for 35 years, so I can't really condemn someone for staying a few years more,
Yeah, you can't. It's all its own little beast. I undid that one. I don't know why it's still highlighted, but here we go. I didn't realize how deprived of love I was until I had kids and I could give them all the love I felt I missed out on. Is that how you felt, Jeff? Oh, did it cut out? Jeff? You there, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm here. Did you ask
okay.
me a question?
No, she has kids and you have kids. I don't have kids. So I was saying, I was reading Cosmic Christie's thing. I didn't realize how deprived of love I was until I had kids and I could give them all love. And until she could give them all love, I felt I missed out on. And I was saying,
yes,
like,
well, that's
didn't you
true.
feel like that, right?
Yeah.
My
daughter.
Do you feel
and
more like that now that because you had your daughter before the Sea Org?
Yeah, she was in the Sea Org. She was in the Cadet Org in Clearwater.
Oh, what's her name?
Gwen Wilson.
Okay. That's amazing. I would love to talk to her. Wow. Because, I'd like to talk to anybody from Clearwater, Pack Ranch, or Ant Ranch Cadet. That's like my thing. Yeah. Or even if you were a child at the Free Winds or anything like that.
Yeah.
She was also engraved in all this. And I also think that's also why you connected with my mother as well, is because you both have children that were both, intended to be in the Sea Org and be doing what they expected of us.
She left when she was like 12 years old.
Where did she go?
She left with her mother and her mother's husband.
So then, she left, and then, so as you were saying, like you then had to divorce and then marry somebody else in the Sea Org.
Yeah, we had been divorced for years.
Okay.
Her mother and I had already been married to my second wife and divorced. Okay. So that was a lot of water under the bridge. But my first wife had remarried a couple times actually, and she was married to a guy named Bruce Wilson at the time that she left, and they both left with Gwenny.
Okay.
And so she went to high school in the Virgin Islands, and she went to college at Rutgers University.
Oh, wow.
So she had a pretty normal.
Were you guys still talking?
We were writing letters to each other.
Okay, so that's what I was doing with my mom, and very rarely she would actually call me, even if I had called her, what's the base number that I know before? 323-953-3360 or 3350 or 3369, right? Any of those would work.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I would call the gold base, and they would always just say, okay, hold on. And then they would make me feel like they were paging her. Like, okay, we're going to page her. Yeah, she's not available. Or like, what's her name? Lewis would be at reception. I forget, Leah Lewis or something. It would be at reception. I don't know that.
Yeah, Leah, yeah.
And she would always be answering her sweet voice. And then she's like, she's not getting back to me. This was before I was not in good standings anymore.
Yeah. No, she never even rang her, I'm sure.
Maybe, or she knew like, oh, just put her on hold for 2 minutes and they're all in a really intense meeting. There's no way, so instead of telling me that, she's just saying like, okay, hold on, let me see if she's around. One sec. Or she might have just ran off to study. Let me see. And get on the road to freedom would be like the hold music. The music that they play while you're waiting. There is one thing that you should know. Anyways, yeah. I think the whole thing changes once. And on that note, my fun thing, I was like, oh, I should put this up. Was music encouraged at all? Like piano lessons? No. That's like a simple answer, right? No.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't encouraged. No. Unless it helped Scientology or a PR thing.
Yeah.
Or a celebrity like Korea. Yeah. Chick Korea or something.
Yeah. There were the gold musicians, and they were encouraged to write music for events and all that,
Do you know, could you name off like as many gold musicians that that were in the Golden Era musicians?
Well, there was Ron Miscavige Sr. He was in charge of the musicians.
And what did he play musically?
Trumpet.
Okay. I mean, I knew that. I'm just letting people know.
Yeah. Peter Schless.
Mm-hmm.
He was on keyboards, I think. McHenry Ellis.
Wait, wasn't Peter Schless also the one who kind of ran the band? Or no?
Miscavige, both.
What was that?
Peter and Ron both ran the musicians. They were kind of.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And then do you remember Skeeter? Skeeter, the DJ.
Skeeter. Oh, of course. Yeah. No, I really like Skeeter. Yeah.
Everybody liked Skeeter because he was the DJ that when we were having fun, there's Skeeter, like we're not going to ever forget that Skeeter wasn't fun. Like, of course right? Even as a cadet, I knew who Skeeter was because he was the one that they would say, go request, see if they'll play. All you want to do is ride around Sally. Remember, they would play that song. They would play Footloose all the time. They would play like, I put my hand upon your hip when you, or ding da da ding da da bing da da ding da. They did that a lot. Oh my God, that was so annoying. Okay, anyway.
Friend in Copenhagen, a guy named Ken Delderfield. A lot of the old timers remember
so Ken Delderfield is Vanessa Delderfield, who was at the Inn Ranch. Vanessa Delderfield and her sister Kalinda Delderfield and her son, and their son, their brother, William Delderfield. And Ken Delderfield is their dad. So continue with whatever you're about to say that I don't know.
Ken Delderfield was one of the smartest people that I ever knew.
Wow.
I learned a lot from him. But what he used to do is every time there was a party, he would take note of, there were certain songs that were played, and everybody in the room would jump up and dance. And every time that happened, he made a note of what that song was, right?
Oh,
until he had
that's smart.
A playlist of just those songs.
And this was before Spotify and all this, guys. This was like put the fucking CD in the thing and play it and see, they like that.
It wasn't even CDs in those days. It was reel to reel tapes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Whoa, so you made me remember the visual that I saw like Peter Slash and then like, whoa, they're behind the booth. I can't go back there. Look at those wheels turning.
Yeah, so Deld made a reel-to-reel tape of all of those songs, the ones that people jumped up and danced to. So every time there was a party, you had to get Ken's tape, because
was it on like an actual cassette tape? And did you just no, he made it himself?
You had to have a reel-to-reel tape player,
right,
and speakers, and then put on Ken's tape.
So do you think that he would make music for people or tapes for people? I bet you Dave Miscavige would have him make stuff. Oh, you can do that? Why don't you make me a tape so I could work out at the gym to Too Legit. Too legit to quit. Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, Jen, my cute SBTV babe. But yeah, so they say, yeah, there was no encouragement of any of that. In fact, it was pulled away from us, especially children and stuff who were not realizing like your main purpose is going to be here no matter what your decisions are in life is going to be in the Sea Org. There was a point when I really ran off from the Int Ranch. I ran far. I ran far actually, and then I was running off with my friend Sarah Leobard. I'm sure you know Sydney Leobard. No? No? There's just a little delay. So, they're friends. You know the Purify Sea? Remember the Oh, there we go. Now I can hear. Remember the Purify Sea, the French lady? Do you remember her?
Sounds familiar.
She was like this French lady. Frick, what was her name? Anyway, she had her children, Sarah Leobard and Sydney Leobard, were at the Ant Ranch. And then Sydney Leobard later was at Gold Base. Sydney married. Do you know anybody at the Gold Base named Sydney? She was like a young blonde. She looked kind of Swedish, but she's French. Thin. She had like thin blonde hair, but like not as bleached as mine. Anyways, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That's okay. Anyway, so my friend Sarah Leobard was one of my best friends at a time at the Int Ranch, and we would run off a lot, or we would plan to and one of those things was stealing the radios and doing all that, and one of the things we would do is plug the radio from like one of the adult radios or that would be able to talk to security. Nope, they're not down here. We would plug it, and when somebody's doing that, nobody else can communicate between the radios. Smart. On that channel. Yeah. So we would be like, where is she? You're cutting out 10-4. What was that? Yeah. we would just press the button. Yeah. And we would have it on low so we could okay, you listen. Okay. So and then we would hear where they're going to inspect and where they we cleared, we checked there, they're not there anymore. Then we'd go back to where they just checked after they left. And so we know we were fine there forever or until they would anyways, that's a whole nother story. But where was I going with that? The radio. We would be running off and, my friend. So I just started to get sort of ballsy. And at a certain point, it was almost like I'm not trying to even run away. I just don't want to. I want them to be afraid that I really am gone. So I hid on the property for like 3 days. And then it got really serious. And then Uwe, Stuckenbrock, whatever, all the serious security chief people all came out. They sent my parents because they noticed. Then they figured out that we had the radio. And they were like, oh, this is not funny at all. Like, they have a fucking radio that they can just be changing channels, talking to anybody. Like, these kids, like, what are these kids doing on a radio line at 2 a.m.? Like, it was like we would be staying up when the moon was bright and awake,
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, I'm getting flashbacks of excitement.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, my goodness. So, anyways, yeah, very clever, but full circle, my mother and my father came to the Int Ranch. And that's when I was like, oh, no. That's where they got me. I was like, they came on a Tuesday to the Int Ranch? Uh-oh. And they've been here already for 3 hours? That was really horrible. So then I caved in and then went there. And one of the things she said is like, after a lot of like, well, what's your purpose and what are you trying to do? And how are we going to resolve this? And I was like, I'm not happy here. And she's like, well, what's going to make you? And I was like, I want to sing. And somehow she converted it to being like, good, let's make your purpose be that you're going to be part of the Golden Era musicians and that you can write, you can write Peter. Oh, here we go. Full circle. You can write Peter / a letter. And he's the piano guy. He's the one who runs the whole band. He's great. And Ronnie Miscavige, you can write him a letter too. Ron Miscavige. You don't call Ron Miscavige Ronnie. You call David's brother Ronnie, right?
Ronnie. He was always called Ronnie.
His brother. But do you call senior Miscavige?
It was Ron.
Ron, exactly. That's
it was
what I'm
always
saying.
Ron and Ronnie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you don't call Ron Ronnie. Anyway, so Ron, but what I was saying is that was the mechanism to use answering this question. Whenever it was encouraged, it was only encouraged by my mother, who manipulated me after having basically a mental breakdown. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm never coming back. I don't care if I don't eat. Like, I really was not, I was like, ran away. I didn't want them to find me. So my concern was that nobody saw me so that nobody could report where I was. And then the way that they got me back, I was very hungry after a certain point. I did sneak in the middle of the night one day with my friend Sarah, and we stole big, huge pockets of granola from the bin and just filled our pockets full of it. We had our khaki shorts or whatever the freaking shit we were wearing as we were like ready to escape the base that we were not going to escape. We were just hiding. We were basically hiding in prison from the guards, and that was unacceptable because the guards didn't know where we were, and that was like fucking not okay. Only we were minors. We were minors, and that was even worse. And we are in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere, where there are coyotes and mountain lions who would love to eat a little child as their little night dessert for their cubs. You know, so yeah, it was only encouraged as a manipulative tactic. That's it. And same with radio and music. If you were upstat and you were in good, your stats are up and you're making David Miscavige happy, you're allowed to have a little. What did I show you guys? You're allowed to have a little thing that's playing the radio and K-Rock, as Gary would say, right?
Yeah.
Did you have that? I'm sure you had that, right, Jeff? A little side radio?
What I did have for a while was a little tiny portable television.
My mom had that too.
Yeah.
And she would bring it out when we would, remember, they would let the cadets go to the Devonshire first and go to the Kirby to see their parents. And then they changed the rule later. So then the parents had to come to the Ant Ranch because it was too out security, or whatever else it was. But what was I getting to? Oh my God.
The little TV.
So
your mom.
Our pleasure, my friend, hi Jessie baby. My friend asked me today, she was like, wait, so what, like, were you allowed to watch Disney movies? And I said, if it was an UPSAT award, like even as the youngest child I was, the only time that was okay was that, or when we were first allowed to go to our mom and dad's apartment where they were sharing a dorm with other married, like, Sea Org members, 3 couples in a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment that was shifted and made that's how it was. And it was still like, luxury because at least, you weren't in a dorm with 8 men if you were single on bunk beds in a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment illegally. Yeah. Anyways, so she would pull out this little TV about this big from the closet that she hid when we'd come over. And remember Saturday night cookies? We would eat those yummy chocolate chip cookies that Panuccio and all the kids probably made from the cadet org that were upset enough to go help Nucci in the galley, or they were getting dental work. Anytime we were getting dental work, we would go, while we weren't at the dentist, we would walk down from MCI or whatever it was called, up at the Qual area down to the MCI to go to the galley and start working. Like it was just like that.
Cookies.
Yeah, go make cookies. Nucci needs help. It's Friday night. Or Saturday night cookies, whatever it is. Anyways, so my mom and dad, I think, I'm sure you better save your cookies for the kids. But they would get these chocolate chip cookies and salt and vinegar chips. And we would sit in their living room, in their dorm and the Linda and Bob, don't remember the last names right now, but Linda and Bob were their neighbors. Not neighbors, they're bunky, normal, like whatever. It's not like official rooms. They didn't have they had their own rooms, but it was like you're sharing. These are married, grown ass adults with children. So anyways, the only way I knew her is because they were the roommates of my parents. Anyways, but so we would be there and we'd be in our blankets snuggled watching on this TV, either Tom and Jerry, which is always something we could find on the channel that was like clear enough to get, or we would somehow hook up this little portable the VHS where we were able to watch like Aladdin. I remember Aladdin was the number one, and I don't know, just ran anyway. So that was so, and then did they not do this, Jeff? They eventually when they started to find out there was so many parents and kids doing this, not only that, but just random other people watching TV once they were done with CSP or cleaning their apartments. They were like, found out that they were watching movies on their like everybody had their ways of doing this. And I guess you just said your little TV. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, my little TV. And for a while, I had a TV cassette combination thing.
Yeah.
So it was a screen, and then there was a little place where you put the videotape in. We had that for a while, and so my wife and I would watch movies occasionally.
So
or
would
watch
you
part
pull
of a movie.
would you pull the whole rack over, or you just stack them on and like, okay, you would have to hide it though. You couldn't just have it hanging out, right?
Well, back when we had it,
It was sort of allowed, maybe.
it was sort of allowed, and then they confiscated.
As long
all
as
that
you had
stuff.
your ethics in and you were able to control yourself properly.
Yeah, and we only watched movies after we got home. During what would be our sleep time.
Right. Janice was saying there was definitely a time where, there was more more like luxury. Like people were able after the ship or after their jobs, after Gold Base, they would go to Happy Valley and have some beers in the fire pit around the fire. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? Sea Org members were definitely not allowed to drink beers when I was growing up. Like, only at the bosun's party at the Sea Org Day, thing. Maybe they could have a beer, and you better not drink too much or get too wild or rowdy, or you're going to get a knowledge report written on you.
Yeah.
Did they have bosun parties in Sea Org?
Bosun parties, yeah.
Still even under the heaviness with David Miscavige?
Well, that disappeared. A lot of stuff disappeared, including days off and liberties. After a while, nobody was getting any liberties, and nobody was getting any days off.
I do remember that. It was really hard, and mainly it was only being approved for people like when my grandmother passed away. They were allowing like 3 days, like they were really cutting it. Like, you don't need to be out there. Like, okay, you need to be there for this. And okay, so you need to be there for the ceremony part on the next day at their church. Okay. Yeah. So like they were really just being like, how long do you really need to be there?
Exactly. Like
and
when my mother,
it was like, everything was very like, okay, there was no time to relax. And we were used to that.
Yeah. Yeah. When my mother died, I got 4 days off,
Like, that's so crazy. I'm saying that's so crazy. I hate that is what I mean to say. And I feel so upset immediately because
I had to go through days and days of sec checks before they allowed me to leave.
And after, when you come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of the things where my mother stopped talking to me is we had an argument. I think I talked to you about this. I stole money. You remember at the like it was my grandma's funeral. If I didn't, it's on an episode, guys. And I took it out of my mom. Anyways, I was just so upset at her for not just loving me, like, and understanding, like, just being like, hey, it's okay. I was so mad. And then on the drive there, she just said to my aunt, the non-Scientologist, I forgot to say this. So on the way for us to say bye to our other aunt and uncles that are also non-Scientologists, she said, she's just acting like that because she had too much wine last night, and so she's depleted in her B1 or B6 or something. And it was just like, I was like, my mom is fucking insane because she has no idea how much I had been drinking at the time. So a glass of wine, are you kidding me, was nothing. And it made me even more mad. I was like, see, you don't even know me. Are you kidding me? Like, and I was so broke, and going to bars was my escape. Like, flirting and finally having fun. Oh, this guy wants to buy me a drink. Why not? Like, what the fuck? Like, fuck you. I was so mad, and again, I've told you, I have so much mixed emotions with my mom. I love her so much. In the end, I love her so much, period.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there are moments when I talk about certain things like this, even with I know you fully understand it, where I get riled up and I get mad or I feel sad immediately.
Yeah. As you should. you know?
Like even with Amy WC asking us, was music encouraged at all? Like piano lessons. My mother was a ballet dancer even while she was in Sea Organ. I mean, before that. And then she joins the Sea Organ and then being Scientology. Like, okay, why do you not now have to deprive your daughter of that? She clearly wants to do this. She loves dancing. She loves music. And it just, that's the shit that annoys me. Where I'm like, no, you literally just, I was your little fucking, yes, I say yes and I say no. And I love you and you know that I love you and you better remember that. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, Jeffy, is there anything else you want to say? I'm going to see if there's any more questions here in our little chat. I think I've been doing really good with like keeping up with all your questions, guys.
Yeah, that's good.
Can we give Lara Megan Anderson a LRH clap?
Yes, 3 cheers.
Yes, I can't wait to get
this
that.
This is coming.
I'm very
coming
excited.
to you.
Did you get you got your CD and stickers?
What's that?
Did you get your CD and stickers yet that I sent you?
I haven't anything yet, but I will let you know when they arrive.
Cute.
Yeah.
Cute. I mean, it's just a small thing, and now we just know the mail system works. So once you get that, I will be more inclined to send you great things.
Yeah, and maybe we can have another chat after you've had a chance to read the book.
Oh, we're gonna have more chats forever, Jeff. Like, there's too much. We have other cadets and people, and look at us. We got through even just our chat with Gary and Gary and Jackson. That's so funny. Well, I was going to say Jeff and Jackson, but I was like, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Jeff and Jackson, Gary Jackson. We went through like multiple people. We were talking about people in security, people that I didn't even realize you knew. There's people that you made even sense where I was like, yep, they just need to keep talking about this because everything's being brought up as you speak. So we're gonna be doing this as long as you have the time for it. I'm here forever, babes, until I'm not.
I will always make the time for it.
I love that so much. You're such a freaking kind-hearted soul, and you're actually a great example for people like me. Yes, we've been through a lot and it's understandable and there's no but nothing. Just we get it. If you need to yell, if you need to say fuck you a million times, then that's great. If you need to cuss and swear and slowly get used to that, let that, great. So that's what we need to do. We're going to be judged no matter what we do, however, which way we go. But the thing is we know what we've been through. You know what my own family's been through. It's just like judgment doesn't mean anything to us at this point. It's kind of like, we know what we're doing. We know what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, somebody did mention once a year during the Christmas party, the rule was no ethics presents / reports. What was that all about? Do you know about that?
No.
Oh, no ethics. Oh, there was Roxy saying at the Christmas party, one of the rules was there's no ethics presents here. Like, so basically they allowed everybody to mingle happily. Like nobody had higher levels and nobody was allowed to write reports for people being drunk at the bosun's party because I think originally L. Ron Hubbard was like, oh yeah, this is where you should go have fun and just let loose for, the day. Or it was supposed to be the day, but obviously we only had 5 hours in the evening at points, right?
Something like that, yeah. And there were always, after the whole Christmas season, there was always a raft of people going to the RPF for Out 2D, It was
a raft of people. Yes, that's so true. So many people, or not even going to the RPF, but definitely in lower conditions or something for kissing and, or maybe you touched the butt or you were being a little too rubby. Right?
Yeah.
It's a true fact.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What are they even allowed? I've seen some other things, yes. Somebody, okay, here. This is, I would just want to read this. My birth mother is an amazing human, terrible mother.
Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. But isn't that, I just feel like I relate to that very much in ways.
Yeah, well, I think it's true of a lot of parents in the Sea Org. They're great people, but terrible parents, in a lot of ways, I was a terrible parent for my daughter when we were in the Sea Org in Europe. But she doesn't remember all that. She just remembers me as a great dad, which I'm so thankful for. You know, she doesn't remember the bad times.
I mean, but also that's it's. I mean, there's also there could have not been bad times for her at that point if she had left at a certain age at 12, you know, where like I started to develop, you know, kids start to develop their brain and stuff by like, you know, 9 and 10. And if they're already groomed and all that by, I mean, they're developing their brain way before that. But I'm saying if you're already like, just like in the real world, if you're groomed and taught certain things in the real world, like the court system and and police and driver's license and IDs, you're just gonna think that that's all normal. So why would you think other things if there's no other example or viewpoint to look from? Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, it's just it's pretty cool that we're here, right, Jeff? It's pretty cool that we're talking and that we're going through this, and I really appreciate it so much. And thank you, Gary Jackson, when you wake up from your quick nap before you have to work. I'm so sorry. I love you, little sweetie. But yes, thank you all. Thank you, Purple Groovy. Lara, you a true Aquarius. Thank you, honey. Yeah, I guess I am. I guess you can't say thank you to something that's just is, right? Like, I hate when people say, oh, your dog is so cute. She's so pretty. And then the person goes, thank you. It's like, why are you saying thank you? You should just go, I agree. You did not create that.
Yeah.
All right, sweet angel babes. Thank you, my sweet Jeffy
All
Jeff.
right.
So we'll do this again. I'll get in touch with you. And for all y'all out there who have any questions, you can email me right here. Lara.fm is my website. And on there, you can see upcoming shows, or you can see my music videos or the other live streams on the Lara FM TV, the other episodes I've been doing. If you're a person out there who has access to a phone and you have questions, or you want to just leave a message or give me information on somebody's parents or somebody at the Gold Base, or just comment or whatever you want, the LFM SPTV hotline, I should change that, is 323-898-1335. That's going to be sitting there for y'all who are in or out. And if you're in the sewer, you can call that as well. We can help you out. No problemito. Other than that, anything else, you can just email me. We love you all. Right there is my email, larafmmusic@gmail.com. Jeff, thank you so much for being here. And I cannot
Thank you for having me.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. And I can't wait to definitely have this conversation again with you for sure. And there's so much more for us to talk about. I can't.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. All right. I love you guys all so much. Thank you guys for freaking sticking in. And for the future people watching, we love you. Give us any questions.
Somebody is searching for the right child. Somebody is telling you what's right. Now you're going to have to decide what you're gonna do the next.